after, and we can get started. If you would, please stand and join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, as usual, let the record show that all three commissioners are present and accounted for here tonight, along with the auditor. And this is opportunity, a window of opportunity. If there's anybody here that's got anything that's not on the agenda, that they would comment or questions, we have a few minutes to bring that up, and I will have something myself right here in a minute.
And I'll do too, unless somebody got something.
If you want us to go first, or if we should let Mr. Craig go
No, you
first?
go ahead.
All right. Would you rather me come up there or just seated here?
Either way, that's fine right there, you're good.
And I'll take mine off over
Yeah.
here and we
There you go.
So you see and hear us better. First thing, very excited to introduce our new Health and Human Sciences educator, Marilyn Sink. Marilyn
Hi,
comes to
Marilyn.
us from Clark County, where she is also the same HHS
Okay.
and the CED in Clark County. And she's has some demographics there on the first sheet that I'll let her talk about that and say a little bit more about her introduction if she'd like.
So like you said, my name is Marilyn Sink, and proud to be your new Health and Human Sciences educator. I'll tell you a little bit about me. You pretty well know the demographics, but that was for me just so I could see. It is quite a difference coming from a larger county to a smaller county, but I have some rural background, so confident in that. These are some of the programs that we can provide, and I'll highlight a couple of those in a second. Let me tell you a little bit about me. I'm a graduate of Charleston High School. I went to Western Kentucky. I received a bachelor's in public relations and minor in agriculture. Then I got bored and went back and got a master's in leadership. Stayed down in that area for about 12 years, and 4 years ago I had the opportunity to come back and start working in Extension in Clark County. And the opportunity came up to come up here, and so I felt like it was a good fit with working in rural communities. While I was down there, I was a project director for a Drug-Free Communities Coalition. And I actually remember being at a national conference when the news broke in 2015 about the HIV epidemic. So pretty excited about being able to bring that knowledge and then the extension knowledge that I have. And so I hit the ground running on Friday, and I just want to highlight a couple programs. The first would be that Strengthening Families program. So this is an evidence-based program, and it's for parents or guardians that have a youth 10 to 14, and we do have a family from Scott County that signed up. So working with them, we are doing this virtually this time with COVID, and working with Ohio, Lawrence, and Dearborn County. So we have 7 families total, but 1 from Scott County. So really excited about that program. I've been working with Scott County, the CEAS, and the Get Healthy Scott County Coalition a little bit, and so we're looking at some initiatives around mental health. I am a mental health first aid trainer. And what that means simply is just you take a class, and it's kind of like CPR. We just show people signs and symptoms to look for if someone is in distress, if has a mental health issue or substance abuse issue. So I think we're looking at working with Get Healthy Scott County to provide that later this year. We do money management classes, so we've got stuff for 3rd graders and adults that we can do. And again, we are looking at doing more virtual stuff with COVID. So that's a quick snapshot. Of course, there's plenty more that we can do, and if anything special comes up, feel free to contact me. My information is on the bottom, or come downstairs and see me. So glad to be here.
Thank you very much, and welcome.
And I'll just, the other 2 pieces of paper that are there, y'all are accustomed kind of like on a quarterly basis. We've been updating you of what things have been happening, so that's where October is the beginning of the end of the last quarter. So there's my sheet, some things that's been going on, and then webinars coming up on the European, or the Emerald Ash Borer, I'm sorry, for ash trees that's been attacking them. So it's on the backside. A lot of free webinars, and then what Megan had supplied of updates with 4-H. In fact, they're having an open house tonight down at Trevor, so hopefully that goes well for them.
Okay.
Just quickly to say, John and I briefly talked yesterday between meetings at the museum. I know Mike Chesser had brought forth to you before about a bicentennial tree.
Yes.
In fact that we were down there talking about Arbor Day. We're gonna plant, in honor of Arbor Day, from back in April, we're gonna be planting that at the museum next Wednesday. But we'd still like to do something kind of in honor of bicentennial, whether it might be here around the square, the courthouse. Just wanted to hear from you all to, you want us to bring any more? I think, again, Mike was here, and I don't want to step on his toe. He's actually on a vacation today because his daughter's on fall break, school break. But talked to Adrian, the manager, and she said, not stepping on toes, if we can find out anything or any other info or what you want us to do to help move that forward, or if we need to hear from you all, if you got a species in mind or where as a location on the square. But I'd like to get that done, because here now, October, early November would be a prime time to get something. And still, would be the bicentennial for this year to try to recognize that.
You know, myself, I would like to see maybe something in the line of the oak, you know, whether it be white oak or red oak or something like that planted out here in the yard. We've lost several trees due to disease and dying, and I think it would be good myself to see something like that that would be hopefully grow and flourish through the years there. I think, you know, I'm not you know, a real big fan of the in the courtyard of the white pines and stuff like that. I think they just they cause more problems than what they're good for. But I think something like a white oak or red oak or something of that nature, I would be fine with.
We put a swamp oak down at the museum.
Mm-hmm.
Realizing they're gonna be growing up one day.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to keep them away from the power lines and.
Yes, yeah, and something of that nature would be, I think would be what I would be interested in.
Yeah, I'm thinking over here somewhere near it seems like most open spots over here in this area, over by the gazebo, but.
So, again, didn't mean to take a lot of time tonight, but just to, you know, maybe Tammy could do some more follow-up, or y'all go walk up and look at it and plant a flag and say, here's what we're thinking, or something.
What
Okay.
time are you gonna do the lunch museum?
10:30 next Wednesday. And again, due to COVID, we're kind of keeping it as smaller. We will have the mayors there. Scottsburg is now a Tree City, USA. There's going to be a proclamation from the Indiana Department of Natural Resources, and we hope one, if not two representatives there, and kind of presenting that, talking some, you know, what does Arbor Day mean? And Great Scott Trees are the ones helping us promote that. Usually it would have been like with school children there and kind of make a big deal of it, but you know, that wasn't able to occur. But we will be museum representatives and all too. Last two quick things was, again, someday, just to keep it on your radar of thinking about it, is weed board. I believe I've had that in my last update to y'all, that I've had some questions about it. We've gotten some weed issues resolved by just phone calling them and letting them know, you know, hey, you got some invasive or noxious weeds growing on your property. But to my knowledge, we don't technically have an active weed board at the moment. And if that would be something you want me to help research some more information and provide, but it's usually like a commissioner, myself as county ag agent, someone from Soil and Water Conservation, another ag farmer, I forget who the fifth person as a representative would be. But a way to maybe enforce some of those if someone didn't, you know, cut down their noxious or invasive weeds.
Okay.
And the last thing, just so you know, it's still on our radar, I'm sure yours, but, you know, discussion of new office location for us. And, I know you got a lot of other stuff going on and where the court's gonna need to be, and that's one of the spaces they're looking is for ours.
Yeah, and that is something that I will tell you that this board is looking at on a daily basis right now.
Yeah, some places we looked before, I mean, the former John Jones Gym City where the current health department's at seemed to be the most logical, but, you know, how much space would there be for build out and versus sheriff's already using a lot and things.
Yeah.
But that was seeming pretty appealing. We haven't gotten to show Maryland yet, but we just want to have some direction from y'all too.
Okay.
I do have a question, Tom.
Yes, Mike.
When's the ban lifted on tree cutting down like Pigeon Roost down there where we're wanting to cut some trees, and there's supposed to be a time you can cut them, time you can't cut them.
Well, I mean, you're talking just trimming them, or
No,
you're gonna eliminate
there's
trees?
some, what are they, pin oak or something?
Yeah, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Seems to me like it's through September the 15th. After you pass that, I think there's, and why was that? There was something to do with, I don't know.
I have no idea, I didn't even know you couldn't cut a tree in a certain.
Yeah,
time
it
of
was
year.
something, bats, yeah, it was something to do with the bats.
So then I'd have to research.
Yeah,
guess
I
I'm
think
thinking
it's after September the 15th, you can cut them up till March the 30th or something like that, so.
Can or?
You can,
can.
yes. Yeah, but in the summer months, you cannot cut them for, I guess is what I'm
And it's different,
understanding.
I guess, on Urals, like the public property versus private, unlike
Yeah,
if a tree's a problem and needs to be gone, you take it down when it needs to be.
yeah,
But I'll look into that a little bit more too, but I know I asked Mr. Edrington just yesterday, because we were passing between meetings too, if anything got resolved, and he said, no, not really, but he's got a lot of irons in the fire at the moment too on different things.
Well, I think that whole deal was we were waiting because we got stuck in that time period of, we couldn't cut them.
yeah.
So,
And our EMA director was gonna take care of it, and then he left.
Well, his group still may take care of it, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
but if there's other
Yeah,
things
he
like
made
that,
it, just that's,
you know, or like that, or like Marilyn said, whatever we can do and assist in programs, I'm just awful glad she's here, so taking a lot of pressure off of the rest of us trying to carry forward. I'm still the acting or interim CED, the county student director at the moment, but when we get in Maryland transition, thinking like that first of next year, we should be moving into that position. I can maybe go back to just half-time as A&R, so.
Yeah.
Thanks
Yeah.
for listening and taking, didn't mean to take up too much time.
No, you're fine, you're fine. John, you had something? Go ahead.
Mr. Craig here, you wanna come up, Jimmy?
If I can get up.
You gonna swing that club?
We, the property out across from Jimmy's house there, across from the Diana Baptist Church there, the, gentleman, I think he owned the property that was sold to the Dollar General.
Yeah.
But this property remained his, Dollar General, and he remained his, and it just drove something awful. And, Court's been taking care of it, he's been mowing it down. But around there's a couple of trees there, I don't know if they're bamboo or what it is, it's grown up enough to fill this room up. And Court can't get it down, and he suggested the, highway department, that we have equipment to do it down there. But I talked to Jill about it, and she thought it'd be better if we all go on it. Jimmy might want to describe what all's going on there. I know you mowed some of it yourself or
Well, the
something.
problem there, right below those trees, there's a natural spring. It runs like 24 hours, 365 days a year. They've been rabbits, snakes, even 2 deers killed, and I know like dry weather like now, that's about the only place the creeks and ditches dried up that would get water. And those trees, now I don't know if you've ever noticed them, but one of them just about 3 feet off the little road, and they're monsters. And in the springtime, fellas, these limbs falls out of there, and I don't know how many I've thrown back over on the property, and it hangs over on Little Road. It's a wonder one of them hasn't hit it. Some cars come by and just run over them. Some guys do stop and throw them back over on the property. But if those stuff was mowed, cut from around those trees, and look up in them trees where they got big dead limbs, cut them out, and it'd help, because when you're driving up with all that stuff around them trees, you can't, if something run out, you couldn't see it. And John's good enough to get part of it mowed, but I think it's less than 2 acres and they can't build on it, so they just let it grow up. It grew up.
There used to be a little house up there. a little white house.
Reams, when they had it, they did mow it and kept it mowed and kept it down.
Is there power lines on that side of the road?
Pardon?
Is there power lines on that side of the road or on your side?
No, it's on the other side.
It's on
On
your
my
side?
side, it's on
Okay.
my side.
I was gonna say, if they were on the other side, we'd get power lines down,
If
you
you
could cut them down.
But Court told me his equipment couldn't mow all that, and he suggested the highway department did have enough equipment to do that. And, of course, it's private property, so Jill naturally wants to do the right thing. But we mowed it for the last 2 summers, and Court's mowing it, and he got an agreement with this guy. He just called this guy, and the guy mows it, and he pays Court. But to finish it up, we need help. Court needs help. He said his equipment won't knock this down. It's been by, like I say, it's just taller than this.
Oh, they're big, and it hanging out over Little Road,
And-
and it's out over Little
And
Road.
Ben's already mowed. I personally don't feel like there's a problem with go ahead and taking the rest of this down, but we would have to
Well,
have.
you're saying we're already mowing it. Are we charging the
Yeah,
land?
they're charging the landowners paying for it, yes. Court calls him, we started out with the health department calling this guy, and, Tim finally told me, he said, John, just tell Court, he'll call this guy, and just mow it, and the two of them will take care of it. And I think he's paying Court actually now. But we just need to get permission to knock the rest of this down, because,
Hey, Coach, you gotta get after them every time you get them mowed.
yeah, and it's pretty constant. Well, you mow,
And just mow it a couple of times a year, and
So does this guy not live here?
pardon?
Does he not live here?
No,
Louisville,
last time I heard it, Bowling Green, Kentucky was where
Okay,
he lived,
all right.
that owned the property.
I don't think it's a problem. We just, I mean, we can get the number, Court's got the number, we can call him and get the permission. But I wanna make sure, Jill wants to make sure she's got the legitimacy to do it too.
Let me, I guess ask this, when you say we've been mowing it, Court's been mowing
Yeah, for us,
just like he would
Yes.
a overgrown yard,
yes.
correct?
Well, that's what it is, really.
Okay.
Yeah,
The only thing that I don't know, and I would, Tammy, I'm gonna refer to you here. The only thing, I don't know how we can mow it by State Board of Accounts and charge him to do it,
Charge you to do it.
the owner of it. I mean, now, Court can, because Court is a private contractor.
Mhm.
But as far as the county highway, is there any way that we can regroup any cost to do that?
There's a process that you can go through, and what's happened now, it sounds like Court is just in direct connection with the guy.
Yes.
Rather than it going through the lien process that we would normally see through the health department, where they deem it vermin and whatnot, and then they give the person 30 days to clean it up. There's a process you go through. If they do not attend to the request of the health department, then they hire Court or in which the health department uses Court, then Court bills the county. The county pays the invoice, and through the mowing and cleanup special assessment rights we put it on their tax bill. If the county could provide some type of notification that it's hazardous to the county's road and whatnot, and that they have debris that continues to fall down because of untended trees and whatnot, we can put a mowing and cleanup lien on that, and the highway could back charge. We have to give them 30 days notice to resolve the issue. And then the highway could bill their expenses, and we could put it on through the special assessment on a tax bill. That's the only way we can legally, I believe, take care of private property with county equipment.
I don't know what you can do about the stuff that falls out on the road, but that should be a large concern to somebody.
I think they trim the trees back,
Yeah.
but that don't help all that other.
Well, the city does that with their, the city,
Maybe get word it's legal.
okay, the city does that. They use their people to clean up and mow city yards.
Well, we do
and
it
they do the
too.
same thing.
Cause I mean, just like if we have a trash or something in a yard and somebody calls the health department, Tim doesn't go out there and clean it up, but he sends somebody out there to clean it up. There's a bill produced, and that ought to go back on their tax, on their tax bill.
It
So-
does, but that's through a private contractor.
And
Which
so
is
I was
fine.
concerned about it being
I
the highway.
I
I think
understand.
I think the big thing
So I just
is
wanna make sure it's legal
it's not county equipment doing
Right.
it.
Right.
It's a contractor to the county, because Court has a contract with the county to go out and bush hog and do that kind of stuff to clean that up.
I think what you need to do is send the guy a letter and tell him he's got, like you said, 30 days to clean, trim, whatever he's gotta do to maintain his property, and if he doesn't, then we're gonna take action, and the action is we'll go in and hire somebody to cut a tree down or trim it or whatever.
Whatever,
send him a
I
bill.
think Mike,
And that's what we've done in the past.
Big problem
To
is,
this-
it's less than 2 acres, you can't build on
Tim
it.
just told me, he
He lives on Bowling Green, just,
Well, there's gonna be a time probably that
Yeah,
his tax bill is gonna exceed what the property's worth, and he's
but he
gonna
uses his
abandon it.
equipment, right?
you know, like,
But
he
it's
said his
getting worse.
equipment ain't big enough to mow this.
But, yeah, that's what I'm
I got
saying.
one other area, on the road, and I don't know who's there, but where Leota Road and Hancock start out and makes that V, you go down the hit Lake Road to go north like Walmart, you have trouble seeing to your left, south. If a car's coming from the south, you gotta get way out there for it. If some bushes right there, if it was cut, you could, it would sure be a big
Are
help.
you talking Hancock and Lake, or are you talking Leota and Lake?
So you go down Hancock,
Yeah,
then that's Lake Road going across there.
Cost you 10
And
applications.
it's on your left-hand side. The right side is, people's got the, their
We've
yard
got to see if
ditches
they're
mowed.
private bushes or, I mean, we
I
have.
mean, is it
we have
on
to look
public
at
property?
Huh?
It's public property you're talking about?
No,
No, it's private property.
Okay,
no.
same issue, okay.
You have a good, road superintendent, maybe she could, have a little say and get that done.
Do we know who lives there? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Do you know who lives
Is it, is
there?
that, is the
No,
bushes
I
on,
don't.
is
I
the
don't
bushes
know
where
who
the
that
horse
is.
farm is?
Do you know,
Nobody-
do you know
yes.
who lives there?
Well, it's not on anybody's property. There's. a
You think it's
road
on the
and a
county?
ditch
You
the
think it's
county
on,
right of-
you think it's on the county right away?
Yeah.
We'll check that.
Yeah,
it down by
'cause you have to
Murphy's
pull, you have to pull almost out on Lake Road to see left. The right side, fine.
I think, yeah, I think seriously, I think I about got hit right there the other day.
Won't you
Well,
stop?
you can.
Jimmy, won't you stop down tomorrow and let me ride out there with you?
All right.
Would you?
My wife's awful jealous, I don't know.
Well, we'll ride separate trucks. You ride yours and I'll ride mine.
All
We'll
right.
say, social distancing. There you go.
Gentlemen, I know you're busy.
Let's
Thanks a
check,
lot.
let's see what we can do on that, what we can do legally,
Just tell
we'll try to do.
Maria.
But it may be we may have to mail a letter and do that first. But, yeah, we can certainly, I think, make
But
that
I
work.
thank you for listening.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
The one thing that, Mike, you have anything to start up? One thing that I had before we get started right here, and I will tell you this, that I am happy to tell you all that after 3 weeks and numerous phone calls and hours on the phone, that next Friday, we will be getting a semi-load of food back in here into the county, and it will, we've got the next, starting the 16th, coming on Friday instead of Wednesday, but it'll be October the 16th, the first semi-load coming in, and then the next 2 weeks after that. So the next 3 weeks, and that will carry us into phase 4. We do have a new distributor. That was the problem of getting this lined out, but hopefully McFarland's will get a award contract for the final phase, which is November and December, I think. But right now, we do have it coming, so Marty, you can certainly put that out on the wire. Right now, it looks like it's still gonna be about the same time frame, which is, it may be an hour earlier. I don't know if we can get that done. We're gonna try to move it up an hour to start handing it out instead of from 12 to whatever. There's 1,156 boxes on this truck, 1 box per family, so that's 1,156 boxes, families that you should be able to help. Don't know, they sent me a picture of the box. It's a little smaller box. Instead of 50 pounds, it's 32, but anyway.
Not
it is.
2 makes 1.
Yeah, it's not 2 that makes 1, so it's just, we just have to fill 1 box, but it has protein, dairy, and produce in it, so it is what it is, and
That's Friday, what day?
this, it was for the 16th, but they said they, and I specifically asked if we might be able to go back to a Wednesday, and they said they would let me know that by the first of the week.
Yeah.
And
Good either way, I'm just
yeah.
thinking Wednesday's easier to get help.
yeah, and so anyway, just glad to be able to pass that along, and I know a lot of people's called, and I think it was a big help to the community, and we're just glad to be able to do that. So,
You finished?
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, yes.
I gave you a copy of this. It's an article appeared in the News Tribune down in New Albany and Jeffersonville. They sent it out to all 5 counties, but I'm your representative on the our Southern Indiana, our Regional Development Authority, and we won the state award for planning, but, now we don't have any money. We've got a great plan, but, and we're meeting together, and we're still trying to come up with some sort of, process to make some people think a little more regionally. And, so I just wanted to give you an update on that, and, thank you. I've been your representative for 3 years, and, I enjoy it, and it's good people we're working with, and, we're trying. It's tough, but, you know, we're working toward that.
So are you working with One Southern Indiana as well?
Yes, well, One Southern Indiana is our,
Sister?
they provide the staffing for everything we do, pro bono, so we've got, legal advice too, and free, and everything's free right now because we have no money. And so, we've kind of been at this now for 3 years, and we're kind of had to change, the road we were going down because the money, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow wasn't there. And so we're trying to do some things to, work toward, and, but I just want to thank you, and I want to share that with you. I'll give you one of these, Marty. They probably sent one to you all, I know they did. But, it's a start. We thank you, and.
Well,
thank you.
congratulations on the plan to win the state award there for one, and, again, it's like a lot of other things that, we do.
No
understand.
monetary award, just a little.
Yes, you know, but again, you know, I am a firm believer that, things is changing around us as we speak. And, 5 years, 10 years down the road, this is not gonna be the same area that we live in today. That just change is inevitable, and it's coming. And I think, being in this region here with, Clark and Floyd and Jefferson and Washington counties, you know, everything's gonna start moving north. And, so I think if you know, don't have a plan, I think we're in trouble. So again, thank you for what you do. Ma'am.
And talking along those lines, for the Scott County Advisory Plan Commission, you should find in your paperwork there, reports from August and September on activity, what was issued, how much money was brought in. We have had, since July, it's been a race to try to get everything done down there, simply because we've had so many applicants. I do know that we now have 2 more applications in Lexington Township than we had for all of 2019. And that doesn't seem to slow down at all. You're right. Everybody is coming from the south up. I just talked to one gentleman today that bought 4 acres on State Road 56 West. Real excited about moving up here. Said he and his wife have been looking for 6 months for a piece of property. And he said in Scott County was it. Centrally located. He said the only thing he didn't like about Scott County is we didn't have a really nice sit-down restaurant. And I said, well, that could change. But we have had, like I say, July, August, September have been 3 of the biggest months we've ever experienced down there. And I have to add, we still don't have a vehicle for our building inspector.
We understand.
Thank you, sir.
Noted, duly noted. All right, with that, we will move into the agenda for tonight. And the first thing up on the agenda tonight is the COVID-19 CARES Act request from the assessor. And it's the Pictometry International Agreement. So I think I've seen, is that from Eagle View? Is that who that's from?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And tell us.
The last time the assessor's office actually paid for this was in 2002. The state flies every 5 years, which is the county map that you see when you open up your anything. Your
GIS.
Your GIS
Yes.
is the state map, because ours actually was so old. The state, when they fly in the summer sometimes, and you don't see as much. This will be done in November. But we was talking to Dearborn County and a couple other counties, and they said that this would be covered under the CARES Act, because people wouldn't have to go out and actually be there. One of the pictures in the back shows the 3-inch imagery. So if somebody built a new barn, we would be able to measure the barn. If it's just a square barn, we'd be able to measure the barn without having to actually go out and pick it up. You have 2 sets of stuff for me. This is probably the other one.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I made a set and Tammy made a set.
Okay, okay.
We wanted to be
Yeah, I
right
see
here.
that.
But we're gonna do the 3-inch imagery so that, you know, we could actually pick up stuff that we wouldn't have to go out and see. Or if somebody tears something down, then we wouldn't have to go out and see that either. We could tell by the, and it's not only my office that uses the maps, it's the auditor, the sheriff departments, you know, EMS, everybody uses the maps. With us sitting in the office, we would be able to pull up the actual small inventory also. That will not be on the public site, because they was telling me when I was talking to him that actually the sheriff's office could go out to this house and pull it up on their phone. There's an app, and he could find out, look all the way around that house while he's standing there. And that's not, wouldn't be public, but it would be optional for them to actually get that app. But Dearborn County's also sent me the information they've submitted to, for the CARES Act funding and all the different agencies that it would help. Tammy gave me a paper tonight that I will have to contact them to find out exactly which button to push, but
Because with the CARES Act submissions, again, we're limited, that's a 774,000-ish amount. And that's finite through December the 31st. And there is a expense category code that has to be signed, or assigned to this, and you all have to approve that submission. So I was cautioned that if, these are federal pass-through dollars, so if it is approved, and you get the funds for what's ever submitted, that once we get under federal audit, and we are under federal audit, and this 774,000 plus everything else we get, we're definitely gonna be audited, from federal, probably from here on out. If it is deemed that it was not a good use of federal funds according to the grant stipulations you have, you will have to pay that money back. So, again, I wanna be very cautious about how we code these. Some stuff's straightforward, like the things I've got later is payroll, that's on there. But if it's an expense that is not, doesn't fit those categories, we'll just have to wanna make sure that if someone has been approved under those, I just wanna get verification on that code, so we apply like they do. Cause I don't wanna use a code that doesn't apply and then cause it to get pitched out.
So do you have the code for this one here?
That, the codes are the same for no matter which application you make. And they're on the back, she's got them, so she's gonna check with Dearborn to see which one that they used.
Okay.
And then when Jill gets up here, I'll ask, well, she's outside, but whenever she does, well, I'll need to know what that other county got in equipment, because I wanna make sure that it's the right code to get that approved.
So you're saying somebody else has already received funds for this?
they've applied for them.
Okay.
But they were told when they was talking to their representative that it would fall under the CARES
I'm
Act.
being told there is a person in Indianapolis that knows pretty much 99.9% of the time if you're getting it or you're not, or it's a valid or not, but I'm gonna have to get his name, because he pretty much can tell you, don't do it, or
Right.
you can't, you have a good possibility of getting it. So let me see if I can get that number and or that name, because talking with some other commissions, they gave me this guy's name, said, you can call him, he'll tell you yay or nay, so I'll get
Because
that
you guys
to
are
you
the
too,
ones
so.
on the, yes, please do, because you guys are the ones that will sign off on any request that we have, and you wanna make sure that it's a good request.
And I don't know, and I know that again, the CARES Act, and I know that the $774,000, and I know that we have had numerous departments that's asked already. I don't know, at some point, And I know this has to be done by the, is can be used till the end of the year. Whether,
I
at
can,
what point do, I guess at what point do we say, okay, we,
this meeting, because I've got submissions for payroll
mhm.
that are $500 and some $1,000, and that's just May the 8th through May the 3rd. March
And
the
that comes
8th
out
through
at
May 3rd.
774,000, correct?
And so what I have done, because you had committed to, the highway department's request, and I knew she was coming here tonight, I only prepared for up to what you guys could bear with these two requests. And if these do not fly with the CARES Act, I've got plenty of payroll to turn around, because we were specially notified the last week of September, and they had a big AIC blitz to hurry up, get on this conference call, because there's changes made, modifications, and we can apply for public safety, that's 911, health department personnel that's directly related to the COVID response, jailers, sheriff's deputies, and EMS payroll can be turned in because they worked as essential departments under the COVID emergencies. And so they now have made the allowance to turn in payroll, and I've already got the records, and I'm ready to go tomorrow if you guys approve those claims for up to 500 and some thousand. And after this claim right here, I've got $2,000-ish left of the CARES money. If between the highway request, which is modified to 150,000 now, and her 81,000, and I've got 500 and some thousand, so I've only got like 2,000 left of CARES money if these are approved. If not, I will turn around and submit payroll if you guys will let me, and I'll get 100% of that money back to the county.
So what's the payroll that you're trying to turn in for COVID?
They have allowed, and it's in, I've got a letter here from, it's called Significant and Positive Change for CARES Act Money. And AIC had a conference, like I said, the last week of September. And it says here that the first reimbursement request should be for payroll costs incurred between March the 1st through September the 30th. So that's the first ones they want you to send in. Our payroll, our allocation, I thought it was a huge allocation until you start running payroll, and then you realize that between 911 dispatch, the jailers, 4 people at the health department that was tied directly to COVID, and our EMS employees, I have over $500,000 worth of payroll between March the 8th and May the 30th. I can't even get to September 30th with what money we got. I'll be lucky to turn in 2 more weeks of payroll.
So you're saying that people working a normal shift
Yes.
is eligible for reimbursement from COVID
This
funds?
letter said the IFA highly encourages local participants to maximize reimbursement for public safety and public health eligible expenses over other designated expense categories. Please note that the IFA will make reimbursement requests for public safety and public health payroll expenses a priority for review over all other designated expenses submitted. And it says on the front page that says, changes and clarifications in policy by the U.S. Treasury and allowed by the state of Indiana in essence makes CARES Act money replacement revenue. Reimbursing your county for these salaries allows you to place the money back in your funds once you seek reimbursement from the IFA, which is the Indiana Financial Association, or agency.
If I understood you right though, and I know we're taking every precaution we can to do this right, but if for some reason the federal audit doesn't agree with us, no matter what we do and how hard we try to do it right, we're gonna start paying a bill.
Correct. But that's whenever I was cautioning at the very beginning, please have backup plan B. Whenever you get told this in September, late September, that now budgeted expenses can now be, because they're going back and tying in, because there were counties that literally got millions of dollars because of their population and their size. So now they're going back and trying to interpret it so everybody can maximize their benefit. And so, again, if these work and they can be CARES and they're approvable expenses, like Mike said, if there's a contact up there that can say, give you the green light for sure, this is gonna not be one that will come back to bite you, that's great. Well, you look at the money helps us, it helps us.
I understand that, but I guess where I was getting at was that when I read the CARES
Yes.
Act, I was under the impression that you couldn't replace revenue for one thing, one of the big iffy or no's.
Yes,
The other thing was that it could be for overtime or additional time payroll expenses and not the normal payroll expenses. The way you're reading it as it, whatever
and so
those
is AIC.
departments,
Mhm.
some of those departments can bill back their regular hours, and I
And
didn't
this
read
is-
it that way.
Well, and this is from David Butoff, the head of AIC.
Yeah.
And so he's not gonna alert all the counties and get all the auditors
I
and everybody
understand
involved
that.
on the phone if it's not real. So,
We just
Again.
have, we just have to use our best sources to make our decisions.
yes, that's why I want anybody that has a request that's not cut and dry, and we find the right code, if you guys agree to the submission and we get it, but we have backup plans for those expenses so far. And with the ambulance, I could exceed CARES without even using payroll with what he has. Again, I'm working with our DHS representative that is our liaison with FEMA. I'm gonna try to get the equipment for EMS through other grant opportunities and through a COVID-only truck. Because it is not for, and they made it very clear to me, she did, that it is not for maintenance, it's not for lack of maintenance, it's not for replacing your fleet. You have to have a project, and it has to be totally dedicated to that particular thing. And I said, well, I've got enough minutes in the council and commissioner meetings to substantiate the COVID truck from the executive and the fiscal body appropriating money for that. So Shane and I will be working very closely on getting hopefully 75% of that back through the FEMA and or other grants. So when I can work on his request, I'm not sending any of his requests other than payroll through CARES. And when we get into the payroll part, I'll tell you later about how much that will be, because he can turn around and use that revenue and use it to buy equipment. But with Diana, I'm within $83,000, which would hold this 81,000, which would leave me roughly 2,000 left in CARES money. But you can now reimburse the county for this year's salaries for certain public health and safety employees, money you already budgeted this year. And that's what the email was that they sent out, and they had that in bold. So I was like you, Mike, I thought, oh, this is not gonna happen. And I was looking, for overtime or extra wages that we hadn't budgeted for the third truck. But now they've loosened the interpretation is my take on that.
Well, I guess on the wage part of that, you can file it, and you've already paid it, so it's not gonna be anything you have to pay again because you've already paid it.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be something you're gonna fill your coffers back up with after the fact. When's the last time they did this?
They actually did this back in 2002.
That's the only time it's ever been done, isn't it?
This same company did?
The same company did.
What I'm reading here is the cost to fly the entire county at 3-inch pixel is $81,990.
Yes.
It says if we decide to fly again within the next 3 years,
Right.
the cost would remain $81,990.
For
For the
3
next
years.
time.
Yes.
So, but they are not obligated to
Right.
fly again, and there is no penalty if they do not fly again.
Right.
So I guess my question is, and we just talked here a minute ago, I guess my question would be, in November, whatever's out there, they're gonna picture.
Yes.
Now, whatever comes down the road, if they decide they're not gonna fly again, or for whatever reason, it's gonna cost us another $81,000 to get that added into this, or how's that gonna
It
look?
would fly, they would fly the whole county again, just like they did this one.
Okay,
So
but
then-
what happens with, when it's as we said there a minute ago, this is great, this picture is great here.
Right.
Of anything that's built right now, but anything that's been built after they fly in November, or possibly up to the next 3 years, or until they decide to do this again, it would be, that would be what, the state pictures that would did? How would that work?
We actually go out and pick up, because we will look on, if somebody comes in and complains or something, we look at our records to see, you know, especially with the state imagery right now, we'll look at that, and if we can't tell whether there's a building there or whether there's not a building there, then we'll send somebody out to look. Some of these places have gates up now, so we can't have access to all of these places because, you know, the owners don't even live around here. So some of that stuff we're actually missing because we got a homestead application from somebody that I thought just had a barn. So we've got to try to contact these people or try to get an image of what they got.
So with that, if we do this and do we pay this company $81,000 tomorrow and then in the next 3 years they're going to fly?
No, they're gonna actually fly and do it all
This is
November. They're gonna do it all
Okay,
in
So we're
November.
guaranteed that they're gonna fly in November?
Yes,
But after that, to update the system in the next 3 years, that's not really guaranteed?
no.
Well, it's just like phones and anything else, what you buy today, tomorrow's obsolete. So-
Right,
But they'll be able to do the whole county for that price in November?
yes.
That crop duster out of my house the other day could have done it.
So when I look at this proposal here, project 2 is also 81,990. Is that the second fly?
That's the second flight they do within 3 years.
So they're looking at, but would be what this proposal is here is $163,980.
That's,
So they're wanting us to commit to 2 projects, is that what they're wanting?
well, I noticed on there too that they have a 6-year contract type thing on the front. It's like 27,000 a year annual
Yes.
payments. So I guess if you would actually do the 6 years, that would equal the 27,000 a year.
Uh-huh.
But they said that we do not have to do that.
So we can do the project 1, which is one time,
Right,
and then I guess if they call and go, hey, we're gonna fly again 2 years from now, we can either opt in or opt out.
right.
Let me ask you this, if this was not covered by the CARES Act, would you have budgeted to do this company?
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I was going to do this in a couple of years anyway, because it's been so long that we've had the pictures. I was planning on doing this and budgeting it. Right now, there's enough money in my budget to take care of it anyway. So if we could possibly get reimbursed, especially since it's not just my office that uses it, but
Sure.
my office is gonna get to pay for it.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah.
Is this something you need us just to approve it and then they can go to the council to get the money?
I've already
No?
got the
You've already
money.
got it.
I've already got the money in my budget.
She's just
I just-
asking
You're
if
just
we,
hoping to
Yeah.
get the CARES Act.
Yeah, I'm hoping to
Yeah.
get the CARES
So
Act.
we're gonna pay for
But-
it and hopefully get the money
Yeah.
back. We're gonna
And
pay
then I'd
for
like
it
for you to sign my
regardless.
contract.
This is gonna be done regardless.
Yes.
here's on, and she's got the money in her budget to do this. She's wanting to submit this for us to approval to send to the CARES Act, and that way she'll get reimbursed. Now, the only thing with that is we are very limited on, because you've saying that you've used up 500,000 basically for payroll. And so with that being said, there's basically 274,000, we'll say, that's still available. And I'm gonna probably think that we would, I don't know how to handle this, whether we just take it under advisement and see what else comes in, to whether it is, because we had even talked about, I think, some CARES Act being able to cover some work if we decide to do something out front here, correct?
Well, that isn't, there's other options on the table for that right now, which we can talk a
Okay.
little bit later about redevelopment. But payroll, according to the latest and greatest announcement from AIC, payroll is a guarantee. If the highway department, they were working under the impression that they would use quotes and see if they would get approved for that. And so that earmarked 170 some, but now since there's actually been an ability to actually purchase and then still move ahead with public assistance request, it's down to 150,000 now. So that's already It's kinda like sitting like Diane, you've already got it paid for, and you're hoping you can get it back. So your plan B is already there, so you have your safety net.
Okay.
What I would like to propose to you all is that I turn in the payroll, I turn in Diane's and what you've earmarked for the highway department. And I'm talking this week, I'm ready to go on mine. And I've got Jill's filled out, I'm ready to go on hers when I get her code, and then as soon as she gets her code, I can do hers in probably 15 minutes. Send those up there. If they do not get approved, I have a backup plan for just turning in more payroll and getting all the money back we can, and your CARES money's gone.
Okay.
And then you don't have to worry about approving any more, except FEMA. And FEMA is where I'm gonna use projects, things at the jail. That's where I'm turning in, trying to get 75% of the hard dollar costs for actual COVID-related expenses, and trying to get 75% of that back. I'm guaranteed on payroll, it sounds like
Okay.
100%.
So with that being said, and you're saying that, and we talked about this before, I know that the EMS, and we didn't talk about that, I know that you're looking at doing, and that was a 75-25, so are we still gonna have the 25? if
EMS
the-
has enough payroll coming back from CARES to cover their 25%.
Okay,
Plan.
okay, so as long as we know where we're at there,
Yeah.
okay, I'm all right.
So you guys won't probably have any more CARES unless I have to come back to you for payroll because something did not get approved while I'm waiting. I will wait till I get determination on Jill's and hers before I submit any more payroll,
Okay,
okay?
all right. Anything on your part?
No, I
Right.
mean, it's something we wanna do, it's just a matter of whether we're gonna get the reimbursement or not.
So I guess we do need a motion to approve
Well,
this.
first of all, I mean, I know that this proposal here is for 6 years for two of those times, or is that what you're wanting for the
I
two
just
different
want-
times, or you want it
Just
once?
one time, yeah.
All right, so I'll make a motion, because she's got it in her budget, and she's gonna submit a claim to the CARES Act for the 81,990. I'll make a motion to do it for this November 2020, and if she gets the money, her budget looks good, and if it don't, her budget's
Still got it coming.
Does
He's no good anyway.
that work out right?
Yes,
Yeah,
that
okay,
works, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
we're
worried
good.
about you with the federal audit, that's what's concerning me
Yeah.
later, but we're gonna pay this regardless.
Yeah.
She has Plan B, that Plan B that I always said, please have Plan B, she's got Plan B.
Okay.
Yes,
All right,
so
I'll
I
second.
feel good with this is fine, as long, it's gonna be them determining whether it
Yeah.
flies or not.
that
No
site
pun intended,
actually
flies
gets
over.
used more than what you ever think. I mean, I use it, I know I use it 10 times a week, probably.
And a big help to her is it's emergency response related.
I appreciate you trying, I'll second the motion.
I'll make it unanimous.
You guys sign the contract?
Yeah.
There, on that side. Can we just leave that for them?
If you want to get,
Make sure that's
You
for
need to
that
scan that, send that
one
back.
I
time
can
only.
tomorrow.
okay,
Just say,
Yeah,
because I
well,
know that proposal was for 6 years.
yeah, we gotta make sure, we wanna be sure that
I'm just saying.
this here is showing 81,000.
Is that contract for
Just for the
two
one?
times or the one?
Just the one,
Okay,
just the one.
all right.
Because the gentleman made sure that I knew that they always call. All their contracts are like this. He said we'd call in 3 years to say, are you gonna do this? We say no, and they say, okay.
So out of your payment, you're paying the 27,000, not the full amount.
No, I'm paying the 81
Okay.
for the one time.
But the other part of that is if you get with Marty in the next 2 years and say how many permits have you, building permits, you know how many changes have been made in the county. So don't put your hand up, I'm not asking you. I didn't ask you a question.
So I get copies of all of our building permits.
Part of my job is to provide her office with copies of all permits that have been issued.
Okay.
I'm with Mike.
I got that.
Thanks. A lot.
And I gave you, did I give you this? No. I give you this. That's very good.
Because I need this to put with the PA when we get down and work on it.
Okay, I'll work on this tomorrow.
in your motion, you're approving her contract and you're also approving its submission for public assistance to CARES, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And it has been signed.
Thank you very much.
Hey,
Thanks.
Thank you.
I appreciate you bringing it in, letting us know.
Yes.
All right, next up on the agenda here is an offer on property located in the northern TIF district, so I'm assuming that's the Just property.
Paul, I know I told you that you probably didn't have to, but do you want to present this offer, or you want Or you can?
I mean, yeah.
You-
and-
to, you got a copy of it, didn't you?
Who? Me? No, I've not
I
got
thought
anything.
Bob Houston's, he said he sent it to everybody.
He sent it, but it didn't come through.
Yeah, I didn't get that one
It didn't-
either. I
it
got
didn't
yours,
come
but I
through.
didn't get this.
Okay, well, that's the copy of the offer, or I guess the first offer that, and as with any offer, especially on a property, you can accept it or you can negotiate, so. I guess my question here, and I'm the one that asked to put it on the agenda tonight, is that, I guess the first question is, do we wanna sell it? And, that'd be the number one thing, because,
Well, let me say this, I have done some investigating on that myself. Here is what I understand, is this property, was purchased and set up as a industrial type park.
light industrial.
And what my understanding is that the Rural Development Board, will be the ones responsible,
Redevelopment.
redevelopment board would be the ones that would be the responsible persons to, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Tammy, is, I think the way this probably should work is this offer should go to the redevelopment board, because they would have to decide whether or not that would fit the plans for that industrial park. And then they would, if they looked at this and said, okay, this is we think you ought to do that, then they would present it back to the Board of Commissioners for approval, correct? Am I right on that?
Yes, if the commissioners recommended, the sale of this property, and it is entitled in the Board of Commissioners' name,
Mm-hmm.
which is not always the case with redevelopment commissions, because as you know, the redevelopment commission of the city of Scottsburg is gonna own the parking lot to the east of us, that's gonna be held in their name. But this was all titled at the time in the Board of Commissioners' name, so anytime a piece of property sells, the commissioners transfer ownership to the redevelopment commission, who then conducts the sale of the property. The TIF plan governs the properties that are inside when that was originally set up. And the actual parcels have never been taken away from or added to since the original inception of that, like in the late 90s. So the TIF plan would have to be reviewed to make sure that it is applicable for its use. Now, we are in the process of going to the Plan Commission to expand the TIF plan uses, provided that the redevelopment commission, it's allowances for different things, because there's certain different boards and organizations have approached the redevelopment commission. So the plan is it's gonna go to Plan Commission next Wednesday. All right, and allowances have been made for non-industrial development in this next TIF plan. To kind of explain it that way, but it has to go through the Plan Commission and then back to the Board of Commissioners for approval before redevelopment can actually have their plan fully amended. Has to have a public hearing, and the timeline that we got from Buddy Downs' group was mid-November.
Yeah. I myself personally am very interested. I've seen this right, 12,000 per acre for 63 acres. I thought it was just gonna be 60 acres.
Well, it was 60 more or less, but there was
On there it
63 in
says
that, 63 in that drawing.
Okay. I thought, maybe I misunderstood things, I thought our attorney was gonna negotiate a price a little bit for us here, is that not?
This is, we don't have to take this offer.
I know that.
This is something that we start a negotiation with. It's
Yeah.
just like if you're buying a house,
Yeah.
somebody says, here's what I'm gonna give you, and you go, no, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
And then you go back and forth, so, but,
Well, am I not wrong when Bob talking about getting involved here, Houston?
I never got that from the email, my
Okay.
understanding, but, you know, I'm
Well, I just
gonna
wanna get the best price. we
well, I
can.
talked to Bob and sent him the offer, told him that, you know, I know this is a preliminary offer or first offer. And I said, I know we don't have a meeting and I can't talk to somebody about it until a meeting, so would you forward it to the other two commissioners? And, he said he would, so.
Yeah.
and he did forward it, but it just, it didn't come, when you, I clicked on the attachment, it didn't come through for whatever reason, but, you know,
So,
I
what
mean,
do we need to do tonight?
It
well,
sounds to me like, and I mean, you talk about it.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say that it sounds to me like from what Tammy was saying, that it has to go to, the area plan first, they have to approve it, and then it goes back to the redevelopment board, and then they, huh?
It'll go from plan to commission.
Hang on there, hang on, what happened to Austin area plan?
This is not the same thing. No, this is about TIF development and your
Yeah.
plan for your TIF area. This is not about zoning.
When all the
Okay.
permits happen, it'll happen through Austin's area
Okay.
plan.
And that's that's, no,
Alright.
we have to go to our county commission
Okay.
because they are over our county business.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're saying
And we've been
it-
through that before.
It goes from the,
Plan
area
commission.
plan next Wednesday, goes from that, if they approve it, or move it on,
Mm-hmm.
it comes back to here?
Then I advertise it for the commissioners meeting and you guys look at our TIF amendment and if you agree, then it's pretty much a done deal after that and it has to be published and then we record it. in
So
a-
where was it, you said that the redevelopment board has to approve if it fits into their
The
criteria?
original plan wasn't even broad enough to do a fire station, so we had to amend it last
Okay.
summer.
All right,
So this is not part of what the original plan was very small. Okay,
Okay.
scope, yes, it's very small scope. And so we've added more scope to those TIF funds. And in a little bit, we'll get into maybe about, the courthouse improvements in county government.
all right.
I'll tell you,
So,
go
do we
ahead.
need to approve it to go to the area plan?
I'm gonna,
Or is it already on the area plan's agenda, Marty?
It is. I've already got it.
Okay, so then I guess we don't really have to do anything tonight until it comes back.
Whether we do or not, we're not locked into anything, I'm
No.
just curious where the
The
negotiations
the
are.
selling price is not too much of the redevelopments. It is to a point the redevelopment's concerned, but you all as a board, since it's
Yeah.
titled in your name and we're transferring it then to the redevelopment, should it sell? If the plan allows for it and you guys wanna do that and recommend to sell it to the redevelopment commission, and then this is the price you want to sell it further as, then that's what you recommend to them. But your plan right now has to go through that amendment to be able for them to develop that, should you all agree. So you all can entertain the dollar amount. And that's what you recommend to redevelopment.
After it comes back.
Yes.
Who does that negotiation?
You guys do the
That's
dollar
what I thought
amount
you
for
did
right
as
now, and
well.
make the recommendation to redevelopment. And
Yeah.
redevelopment will talk to you, then you guys will have your conversation.
We need to talk to Bob, I think, but, yeah.
here's and again, this, you can certainly it can go that direction. But here's, something that I'm gonna throw out and just to be thinking of, because it's gonna come back here one of these days. But here's the thing that I look at, and I've looked at this pretty hard. We're sitting, basically on 60 acres left up there that, is all that's 60 to what, 75 acres, that's all that's gonna be usable. The rest of it's in floodplain. With that being said, this number that's showing here, I think, is less than what we've sold property up there before, and that's been, the last time we sold property was, I think, around 2005 or somewhere in that neighborhood. So this is it certainly hasn't went down in value, it's went up in value. The next thing I caution you about is the fact that Nothing against anybody, but with this here, you're looking at 15, maybe, the way I understood it, 15 full-time employees. It's going to be an online system that is not going to pull people into your county, that's going to spend much money inside of Scott County for even fuel or lodging or food. And so be careful of what you do. The only monies that we're probably going to receive from this, in my opinion, is going to be the sale price of the ground. The ground's been paid for, and it's brought in, I think there's $1.8 million or somewhere in that neighborhood in that TIF fund right now that it's generated. And to give that up, and we have nothing left, and we just talked a minute ago with Mr. Meyer here, that things are going to change and they are going to move. Now all of a sudden, you have a factory that does want to come into this county, where are you going to put them at? You have nothing
You
to
don't
offer.
think there'll be a property tax increase? They'll be paying more than we're getting now?
I mean, again, I'm just saying that if it's, if you had a factory that was going to generate something for the county in the 75 to 125 jobs or something, I think but when you're talking about 15 employees, that's not a lot.
I get that, I mean.
That's not a lot.
Where I totally agree with what you're saying as far as, the end result of what you're gonna get is what you're buying a piece of property for. It's not gonna generate a lot of tax base or a lot of, people buying or moving into the county or whatever. But I wanna go back to what you just said about that property making, would you say 1.5 million? Did you say that property
I think on the
generated?
in the TIF fund right now, what is there?
And there's about, I think, 1.6 in the fund.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's tax.
how's that, but that's generated off of taxes, isn't it? It's not generated off of crops that's been there for 20-some years.
No, but I think our rental for the crops is in the thousands per year. But the TIF funds are primarily from non-abated tax revenue.
Yeah.
But in turn, if we sold the property,
Then it would obviously, whatever improvements and its real estate assessment and whatever improvements it had would be taxed.
Yeah.
And then those would be generated to the TIF fund. Yes.
so the 1.5 million is not what the property's made over the time that we've owned it off of the land use. It's made off of some tax abatements and stuff like that, correct?
It's made from taxes generated by how the land was used and the improvements. And I think we're talking land, we're talking about the whole TIF district itself, not just that
You're talking
individual
about
piece of
Tri-Hawk
property.
as
Right,
well.
Tri-Hawk.
So Tri-Hawk is still gonna generate that income, correct?
They should, yes.
So I
as
mean,
long as they-
I'd venture to say, because Tri-Hawk's an up and going business and employs a bunch of people, that majority of that $1.5 million is coming from them. Because the rest of it's farm ground.
Yes.
Okay. I understand what you're saying as far as
But the only
overall.
thing, overall is,
But
well,
what-
I'm saying that's all we've got.
But what
If
the
we-
kicker there is that, over the last few years here in Scott County, the factories we have here can't even hire enough people to expand what they wanna do. And I'd venture to say, especially after this COVID situation, or the pandemic, or some of those people don't even live here. I mean, when we had a big rash of people from factories, they were living in Jackson County, so anyway, I understand that it's a one-time, probably big cash flow into the
Yeah,
county.
because there's no more land really right there for that TIF district to expand into. Should there be something that would be, I think what Bob's probably trying to say is Tri-Hawk is often, I think, kind of hoped that that road that was cut into the north of that factory would end up, there would be some ancillary or auxiliary type companies that would come in because of their nature is like Tri-Hawks and build and.
But also, what I saw where Tri-Hawks expanding, or doing something with some,
They,
with
they
the rest of their
exercised their
property.
option when Bob was talking about the last purchase, that's when Trihawk bought 30 acres.
Yeah, well, I saw something that they may be doing something too, so.
But that would, I mean, that's the only thing I would question is the fact that it's just, you know, it is gonna be a one-shot deal. And, yes, it looks like up front, it looks like, this don't look like enough to me, but,
Oh, it doesn't to me, that's what I was.
So, you know, at that point, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I would reject it based on the price.
I would.
But, the thing I'm looking at is, okay, you know, looking down the road, and is what do you know, and first of all, you know, this may, and I understand that, you know, I've done a little research on it, they are going, they do things, but, again, right now, we have the control of what goes in there. And this is a development company that's wanting to buy this, they're renting it to these people. If that goes belly up, so to speak, then at that point, they're gonna put something else in there, and we don't know what that something else is.
Well, the
And-
auction company is traded on the New York Stock Exchange.
Understand
so-
that, but, you know, Sears and Roebuck was too one time. And I'm just telling you that, in my opinion, is if you're not getting anything more than 15 employees, I would question whether or not that's the right thing to do. I don't see where, you know, other than the initial cost of the ground, and the ground's always gonna be worth, I think, what it's worth. But you know, the ground does not go down in value too often, especially in something like that. And if you get 15 employees, that's basically, I mean, it's very lucrative for the person that's wanting to put the business in, I'll say that. But I don't see it being anything that is going to add to, the betterment of the people of Scott County right now. I don't see it, but again, that's just my opinion. That's my
Well, the
opinion.
only thought I had was that it's property that's been sitting there for, 20 years or better,
Mhm.
and it's done nothing but, have crops in it, and yeah, I guess you can say it's not costing you anything, but, to generate some income, I guess, or generate some revenue for the county, if it's not doing anything, I mean, you can sit there on it for, I guess, the rest of everybody's life, and just grow crops in it.
Well, and again, like I say, the property was purchased back in the 90s, I believe, is that right? Early 90s? The property was purchased and, it is more than paid for itself, by what they've sold off of it. You know, we sold, 3 years ago, sold $100,000 worth of timber off of it up there. So the ground is, again, not saying that, you know, that I'm totally opposed to this, I'm totally opposed to that number, but I'm not gonna say that I wouldn't, but I'm just cautionous to think about down the road and not just, you know, lots of times we have an opportunity and we look at it and we say, okay, that's a big number on the money, but down the road it may be a bigger number, or it may be more profitable for the people of Scott County, and that's what I'm looking at. So, anyway, again, this can go.
We don't have to do anything tonight.
We don't have to do nothing. It's got a proposal here, and like I say, it would go on to the, and it may not even meet. They may have to change the,
Can Austin stop it?
I don't know if Austin can, it would be a zoning issue at that point.
I'm just curious, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause our interest is whether the commissioners agree that's to the price of something, and whether the TIF plan for that area would allow for such a development. So that's where we're in the process of broadening the scope of what would be allowed in the TIF plan. And then that'll come before the plan commission next week. But that is a totally different issue than whether the zoning on that piece of ground is applicable to what's happening.
But if it's zoned right now, light industrial, it's already zoned it for what their needs are, so it wouldn't go to the zoning board. As long as they could,
well,
as long as they could seek all the permits and stuff and the state permits, then really, if we approve it, then it's approved, I mean, in my opinion. I mean,
They would be responsible, then the developer, to
Yeah,
come to Austin
that's correct.
and get their correct permitting for that. and it would be an Austin developer.
Because of the 2 mile buffer in the area plan.
And Marty can add to this, I think Austin's basically just really exercising, they're part of the 2 mile buffer in that corridor between 31 and Jack Morgan, right? It's a long move because they've got the sewer lines and the water lines right there. So we are right in their zone. If it was south of town, they probably wouldn't care.
But, and again, I'm not gonna have to make this decision, but even zoned light industrial, what would, I guess that brings up another question, what would be industrial about, bringing cars in there and setting them and selling them? Well, you're not manufacturing anything, you're not.
What would you zone it to?
See, I don't know, that's what I don't know, I think that's gonna be, but again, I don't even know if that would meet the.
I have looked at the categories, and it is zone light industrial, and that would allow this development in. Because of like B1, B2, B3, it's all like box stores, or, you know, something like that. It really, light industrial probably is overzoned for that, but I don't see it fitting into any other category.
But, again, so if somebody wanted to put a car lot in there, it'd be the same thing, then you're telling me that.
What kind of car lot?
New car lot, would that fit it?
No, because that would be probably B2 or B3, depending on the scope of the property.
So explain to me the difference that would be in selling new cars or selling wrecked cars. At that point, it's, you know, that's what it is.
Now, I've had several people ask me this question, I haven't even thought about it, but is this gonna be just dirt you're gonna put in this on? 'Cause everybody keeps asking me what happens if we have oil leaks and all this over the place in these automobiles.
I don't know if that's one too.
Yeah, I don't care, yeah.
Come on up. No, I think, and again, I think the biggest thing is.
I mean, you're responsible to
They-
do that, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's what you present probably to the area plan and that. But I would question whether it even, you know, and I think they're going to decide, they'll be the one to decide that along with the development board, whether or not it would even meet the criteria to be placed up there, I think. I think that's what we're doing, the next thing we're going to look at. I think is in my opinion. And again, I'm going to question the fact, as you said, it should it fall under a business, or should it fall under light industrial? And I think that's going to be the question here. Because, I mean, if you're selling wrecked automobiles, or you're selling new automobiles, they got to both meet the same criteria.
Could we check at their site in Indianapolis, what they're zoned for up there? Because they have a site in Indianapolis now.
Is that Southport?
No, it's out by the landfill out there.
Right, exactly.
It's around, what's that road out there?
If you just,
Is it Girls School Road or
if
something
you,
like?
if you punch in IAA and go to Indianapolis, IAA Indianapolis location, that'll get you, and that'll get you their phone number and everything. Yeah.
Okay.
To answer your question real quick, John, I think Ryan touched on that at the last meeting, but,
Yeah.
it's not dirt, no, they go in with pilings, and some of it will be asphalt, but it all depends on the cost. If the asphalt is gonna be really expensive, as opposed to pilings, they will probably, but there's gonna be some asphalt, but the rest of it's gonna be pilings, and some of the rock will be gravel, but where the cars are sitting, that's pilings.
Okay.
Yeah, and, to answer that. Yeah, and the oil spill issue, that always comes up with people, and you know, that's the first thing I said when I met up with them. And, but like they had said, which makes a lot of sense, and if you go out and visit one of those sites, you know, Indianapolis there, you can kind of see what happens. By the time the car gets to that location,
No, I'm not, I'm just helping them find a piece of property. I'm not a member
Sure.
of Carver or anything like that. I have worked with them long enough now that kind of know the comings and goings, how their company operates, but if you go look at their, any one of their locations, they do have a protocol on how to handle any oil or any liquid that comes out of the vehicle when it's brought there. But by the time it's brought there, 98% of the time, all the liquids, if it's gonna leak, all the liquids are leaked in the body shop or the tow yard. And by the time it gets to their lot, everything's pretty well out of it.
Okay.
But they have a rather regular protocol on how to handle that, and they have no issue with the EPA. I mean, that's the big thing there.
That just keeps coming up for some reason.
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, that's fine. And I think Ryan had mentioned that,
Yeah,
you know, you have more contamination in a Walmart parking lot,
yeah.
you
I
know,
can
than
see
you
that,
than you
yeah.
would there, and it's just the way that goes. But yeah,
Okay.
just to, I think what they're just wanting to know is just, number one, the main thing, that just kind of got their hat in their name, the offer the other week.
Okay.
And the number one thing is, do you want to sell it? That's priority one. And then, can you sell it? You know, when now, listening tonight, yeah, we need to find out, can you sell it? Once we, you know, meet that criteria, yeah, then negotiations can go with, and I just need to know what's, I guess, the chronological order of how things are gonna have to go here, because apparently it's gonna have to go to the, is it the redevelopment?
Redevelopment.
That's go to the area plan next
Area
week.
plan.
Yeah. And then it'll wind up, going to redevelopment before it's over.
And then you guys, there'll be a stop, probably early November meeting, or mid-November meeting with you guys. The timeline has to have so many days advertised and whatnot. And I
Because
think-
it'll be a public meeting.
Yes, correct, all of
Okay.
it. There'll be an actual public hearing for our plan amendments.
So it needs to go through the area plan commission approval. And they're just approving
Whether or not.
whether or not to sell it.
It may,
No,
well,
no.
Or whether or
again,
not,
again,
it would be-
it's whether it meets the criteria to the way it's zoned.
right, okay.
See what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And again, I question it just because there is, you know, light industrial is, I think the B, business would be one thing, but I don't see it meeting light industrial because you're manufacturing, they're gonna manufacture nothing. So at that point, my thought is it's probably not gonna meet, it's not gonna meet that.
I sent you the address and the
So,
phone number.
yeah, we need to, you know, that would be what they will need to find out first.
So you
And
think
again,
you-
about the selling of it, you know, that property, you know, it's certainly for sale. So it's not that we don't wanna sell it. And at least on my part, I'm gonna, say that, yes, I'm willing to sell, but I want the most bang for this county's buck that we can get. And that's what I'm looking for. And you know, the one thing that, again, that I seen and by talking with them was the fact that, again, that, this is more of an online auction than anything else. So at that point, people's gonna sit all over the United States and all over the world, and they're gonna sit and push a button and bid on these things, and that's fine. You know, that's good for them, it's good, and it's certainly, as you and me both know, has been good for the auction business. But it's not good for the community as far as bringing money into the community. So, you know, you're talking 15 employees, you're talking an online auction that's, not gonna bring people to Scott County to get a motel room, buy gas, or even buy a meal hardly. So that's the only thing that concerns me about it, to be honest with you. So that's where I'm at with it. And, again, nobody, you know, nobody's beating the door down right now to purchase this property, I understand that. But then again, as we've talked, you know, nobody was beating the door down at River Ridge in Clark County 10 years ago either.
Sure.
And if they would not have the foresight to do what they've done down there, they could be in the same position as somebody wants to come in that's gonna create 150 jobs or or whatever, and no place to put them. So I think that's what we gotta really be cautious about,
Sure.
I think.
Absolutely. So the next step would be the area plan commission next week, is that correct?
Yeah.
It's Wednesday night, it's, I think 6:30, Marty, is that right?
Yes,
6:30?
it'll be at 6:30 in this room next Wednesday.
Okay.
And the final timeline, it looked like, that we were given for the meeting we had yesterday, was everything would wrap up November the 17th for the whole process. If there's no hiccups and nobody stops this plan proposal from being amended,
And
it
so,
would be official by November 17th.
gotcha. And from the area plan commission, it goes to the redevelopment? Is that
And the
correct?
Board of Commissioners.
And the
It
Board
will
of
make two
Commissioners.
more stops
Yeah.
after Plan Commission. It'll be,
Nothing
And
confusing
then-
about this.
Mhm.
Nothing confusing about all this, is there?
But these, but you gentlemen will make the negotiations.
Yes,
yes, they will
we will do the
negotiate.
negotiating.
Gotcha,
Clear as mud, isn't it?
Yeah.
gotcha.
And then they'll recommend to redevelopment if their plan allows for it.
And
we're all
remember,
this
the wheels of government moves just about as quick as pond water sometimes.
Let me further pick my brain pan here. No, I think we're good. So the area plan commission, redevelopment,
Commissioner.
back to you folks, okay? But yeah, the number one thing is, can we sell it?
Yeah,
That's what they're dealing with.
That's the biggest kicker.
Yeah, very good.
Are they talking about two spots?
They do have another spot in Jackson County
Yeah,
that has
that's
been
what I
approved.
understood.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, it's not like we're in competition with them. We're wanting to do both
they've already got that approved. They just
Yeah.
like this spot
better.
better.
Okay, that's what okay.
Yeah.
So it's one or the other.
So they're already approved down in up in Jackson County, on a plot of ground. Just in the process of looking around there, I kind of honed in on this spot here.
But my thing, Seymour didn't want the city.
Right, well, that's it, I've worked with them for a little over a year
Yeah.
now. Because the first spot was actually, in Crothersville,
Okay,
on the, north edge of Crothersville. That property, once their engineers and everything, of course, we had an offer to purchase accepted, hadn't went through all the zoning yet. There are preliminary inspections of that property. The engineers kicked it out because the county road didn't have a wide enough easement to service that.
okay.
And I can say that again if you want me to. But no, the engineers kicked it out, and then we looked around a little further and found them a piece right there on the south side of Seymour.
Yeah,
But it was within their 2-mile fringe, and I don't know if you fellas ever dealt with Seymour zoning boards.
no.
Just keep it that way, keep it that way. But anyway, no, it's just, yeah, it's real tough to get anything in there that's not a development or a Walmart distribution or a Hyson or, something like that. So then found this other place there, Uniontown, and that's already been through the channels and the board and the county, and it's all accepted and ready to go. And they're doing their preliminary work, but in the meantime, right about the same time, I found this little
yeah,
60-acre, and I thought, hey man, that might be a
yeah.
good little shopping arm for, Austin. And,
Yeah, it's close to interstate there.
yeah. And that's the thing, I'm from Crothersville originally, so Austin right there, in Scott County stuff, where my mom came to church here for years, my mom and dad.
Here, there, Bob
Yeah.
Cedar.
Yeah, I see her. I don't know.
Yeah, but, absolutely, so, yeah. And my dad drove a truck all his life at Morgan.
Yeah.
For Morgan. So I kind of had a soft spot in my heart. No, that's it, just the proximity of it and all with where the vehicle's gonna be coming from,
Would be a good location.
that'd be a great location.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the other spot is already,
So we're just basically starting the process tonight.
it's
And we
ready
can
to
stop
go.
anytime we want to, but,
But
yeah, I think we're
Not
all
locked
to
into
this
nothing.
and take a look at it.
So, yeah, so
Okay.
that's the main thing, like I say, they're already approved on that spot. This spot, showed it to them, and they thought this might work out a little bit better.
That's what Ryan was saying,
Yeah.
said he liked the egress.
So, yeah, right, so, anyway, there we go.
All right,
I think I got it in. Thanks much,
all right.
Okay.
gentlemen.
Thanks,
Yep.
Paul.
Thank you.
Mm.
Appreciate that email, send me that.
Any questions? Feel
Thanks, sir.
John, yeah.
Thanks, sir.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's better than a driver's license picture.
You like it? I hired my neighbor to post for that picture.
All right, next up is the Highway Department tractor purchase ratification and payment. And,
As Tammy mentioned earlier, we have changed the tractor purchase that we turned in for the CARES Act. The estimate that I had originally had was $135,000. And we heard of a tractor being sold at an auction for $71,975. Bob can tell you a little bit more about the tractor, but we did purchase it. 2011 Cat Challenger with a sidearm boom mower, which is exactly what we were gonna get for more money. So that is what in fact brought our CARES Act application down by 20-some thousand. Yeah.
So with the payroll that I'm talking about, I had, her request is now 150, 203.75, and now my unexpended CARES request is 83, 115.76. That's back to that 2,000 after you take Diane's 82,000 off that. So
Okay.
that's kind of why I'm back to that. Okay, so that's Jill's. The only thing is I'm gonna need to find out your contact, what number they use,
Okay.
because there are criteria back here, and I'm not for sure. It may just be under 6, and we
Okay.
just have to justify. I'm not for
Okay.
sure. But that's the only thing I'm holding up, is getting yours up there tomorrow.
Okay.
Once they approve, which they've already approved it, I just need you guys to reapprove her amount and then sign the form.
So the tractor, did you have the money for the tractor?
In your lease line, you
Technically.
kind of.
You leased on the tractor before?
No, I've only purchased outright. But I had some extra money in that because of the dump trucks.
So if, with this 71 and some change, are you able to purchase that prior to knowing if you get the
Yes.
money? Okay.
But I did send an email, and I think Tammy has a copy. They technically approved it, I just don't have the check back.
And that's
Well, I think that's the heck
with
of
the
a savings.
claim. Yeah.
so what was, your original was 130 what?
135, 461 or something.
And basically, so again, this is about a $60,000 savings by buying this tractor here. And I will tell you, and again, I, you know, of course, call both of you and talk to you, and even call, got a hold of Jill. This tractor is, was sold at auction in northern Indiana, Monrovia, Indiana. And I just happened to have, there was a person there, that called me and said, you know what, you might be interested in this. And it was, the guy, a farmer, bought it new, had it nothing but on his farm. It never was, the tires, his original tires on it, they're not wore because it's never been on the road. It's a 1,500 hours on it, on a tractor of that size. It's just not, it ain't even broke in good, and looks great. It's not beaten, banged up, and like I say, you can save $60,000. I thought it was probably a smart move to do that, and I called Jill, and she was in agreement, and you guys was in agreement, and I think, again, I think we just saved $60,000 by doing it, so I'm tickled about that.
I appreciate you looking, let me know, I think it's a good idea.
So you need them to vote.
And approve the payment.
So what we need, I guess, is to approve the payment of $71,975,
The purchase and payment.
the
yes.
purchase and the payment of it, correct?
Correct.
So I'll entertain a motion for the purchase and the payment of $71,975 for that tractor.
I'll make a motion.
Second,
I'll second.
I'll make that unanimous.
Thanks for saving 60. Yeah.
the next thing is, if you all remember me talking to you about the roundabout and them wanting us to change the speed limit.
Yes.
I reached back out to the firm, which is First Group Engineering, and he has sent another email with the plans, and you'll have to share, but there's two separate pages, and he shows you on each page. He tells me he's attached the PDFs of the proposed roundabout on State Road 56 and Boatman Road. You will find on the plan sheet locations of the two proposed 35 miles per hour speed limit signs. The first speed limit sign is approximately 1,000 feet south of the intersection, the other 800 feet north of the intersection. The construction letting date is February 15th of 2023. The utility and relocation and construction of the roundabout will last approximately 8 months, putting the completion date into November of 2023. The posted lower speed limit does not need to occur now. We just need to know if Scott County is willing to pass the ordinance shortly after the roundabout is constructed. We will remind you at that applicable time, the lower speed limit sign would be included in our project with NDOT. I believe the consequences of not posting the lower speed limit are as follows. Creates less safety conditions for motorists, could enter the roundabout at too high of a speed, and have a posted speed limit that is not enforceable if challenged by a motorist, since it would not be posted legally without any accompanying county ordinance. So they're just asking, they'll tell us when. I will have to say, as I sat here and looked at those plans, I'm not positive, but it looks like the one on the south end is city property.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say.
So, I will contact, Tim Server. He's the gentleman for First Group Engineering, and we can let the mayor of the city, Scottsburg, know, and they can contact them. But it looks like at this time, we would only be responsible for the north side. So,
It'd be just north, coming south.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Is this a state drawing?
yes.
I mean, I'm not an engineer or anything, but those arrows, you know, I hope traffic can flow in the same way those arrows are going.
You know, it is a roundabout, but yeah.
I know,
so
but
it-
evidently they're confused too, because it looks like there's two lanes going west
one-
and
yeah,
two lanes going east.
Yeah.
And they're all running into each other, which is gonna happen anyway, so.
You probably wouldn't be able to answer it, 'cause this is a foregone conclusion that's going in, isn't it? I mean,
Oh,
there's
this
not-
is done.
Yeah, it's done.
Well, I mean, I know a lot of people didn't like it.
Yeah.
They
But I
didn't
mean,
ask
they-
or they didn't care.
Yeah, they didn't have.
Well, and I don't remember them come, they may have had a public hearing, probably Seymour
No.
if they did.
No.
Nothing.
And let me, and
Okay,
This-
I'll
this
say one thing
project was
farther on
probably 10
that
years ago.
is,
Well, they told me it'd be 7 more years before they got it done.
And
Well,
it may be by the time we get.
and that is one thing I was gonna say, you know, I heard the other day that a lot of the plans has been put on the back burner, because, I don't know, maybe for the COVID thing and all that, so I don't know, this may be one of them. But I did not know this until, just recently, Highway 256 project is, out of Austin towards Madison to Pioneer Village is pretty well getting done at this point. The one thing that came out was the caution light. And the state of Indiana does not recognize caution lights anymore as, and will not put them back, will not put it in. And my understanding is if it becomes too much of a hazard and too many accidents there, a roundabout will go
That's
in.
what you're looking at.
Well, they
That's
took
correct.
the one out the roundabout too. We had a red light out there and they took that one down.
That's
They
caution.
took, yeah, they took it down, what,
Yeah.
6 months ago?
Oh, out there, is that
Yes.
right? I didn't even.
You got
I didn't pay that
little
attention.
ones,
Yeah.
but not the.
Yeah, and that's what they said, they would put stop signs up, east and west traffic, or north and south traffic, excuse me, will have stop signs with flashing lights on them, but, no more, the state does not recognize any kind of caution.
I think
So-
it's already
so
down.
I just
Old
need to
four-way
know-
stop.
It's already down, isn't it?
Where's
They
that?
already took it off?
Yeah, it's gone,
It's
yeah,
gone.
it's gone.
I just need to know if you all are willing to have me email him back and tell him that Scott County would be willing to pass the ordinance after the roundabout is constructed. That's all he's asking, is if you'd be willing.
Yeah, I would.
So you're gonna have to.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna have much choice on that, so yeah,
Okay.
I don't know, we could do that.
Is this gonna be as simple as passing an ordinance? We have to have engineers and everything
No,
else?
that's
Yeah.
why I think he says in here that, the sign would be included in his project with NDOT. So they're taking care of the engineering purposes. If
Okay.
not, you would have to have a study with the
They're
engineer.
They're gonna take care of the signage too? is it?
No,
Huh?
I don't know. I'll ask, but you
And
know.
I don't know if they give you the ordinance language or not, but I think we do have
We have
a few
one.
ordinances,
Yeah.
yes, that
Yeah,
have
I've
lower
got
speed
copies.
limits in some
Yeah.
places.
The next thing is, I'm gonna move off this real quick. Do you remember Tammy writing a letter, me asking y'all to let Tammy write a letter about the 50-50 rule to all of our legislators? Okay, well, I have an email, from October 6th, from the director of the Association of Indiana Counties, and they are really pushing this hard again. And they have sent a template and are asking that we sign it and send it to a local senator or representatives, everything. They're really, really pushing, because a lot of counties are in trouble. So I just wanted to ask if I forward that to Tammy, are you okay with your signature being put on it again like the last one, and her sending it on to the,
Make a support letter.
Yeah,
is that okay?
yeah, I'm
I'll
good
email
with
you
it.
that tomorrow.
You guys good with that? Okay.
Okay, and then Tammy, did you copy those on letterhead?
I did.
Okay.
And Bob has copies, and they'll look like this, Bob. You've got several, like there's 6 or 7 for the community crossing grants. And you've got,
No, they're over
they've
here.
got a little paper
Yeah.
clip. I've got yours clipped together with a paper.
Usually when we do the grant, it's one, letter saying that we have financial funding because it's contracted out. This year, because we're doing force account work, meaning the county is doing the paving themselves, each grant cannot exceed $250,000. So I had to do 6 grants to get the roads in that we wanted. So for every $250,000 that we spent, you had to have a letter stating what your match would be and that you're guaranteeing the state that you have this money. So there's 6 letters here that ask for Bob's signature with those amounts in it. And I believe right now it's at $288,000 and some change.
What's the
Yeah,
timeline?
288,790,
That's for community crossing?
78, yes.
What's the timelines on this? We gonna know?
Now,
I
oh,
mean,
when will you know? I don't know, because, see, they pushed this back. They
Yeah.
just now opened it up again, and they haven't told when they're announcing yet. But they are opening again January, so I'm thinking they have to announce by December. Or they're not gonna know.
So we already applied, huh?
No, they closed it.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you didn't even get it in?
You can't. They just now opened it back up a week ago Friday.
So in turn, the next, if we get another grant, from Community Crossing, we would do all the paving.
Yes.
But you-
That was kind of the agreement with the council in order to be okay and approve us getting the new paver, is
There won't be no
us doing the
contracting
work.
out this time. We'll
Correct.
do it ourselves.
if we're awarded.
Yeah.
And I will
Yeah.
warn you that with this not all being one,
You could
application,
You could get some and.
you could get 2 and not get 4, or you could get 4 and not get, yeah, you
Well,
get
Bob,
what you
know-
get.
You better not get your district and I'm not getting.
And I did not do it by districts. I did it by the amount it cost. I didn't care whose district it was, if it equaled my
We'll
250,000.
see.
Just-
Or got
Well,
it
in other words,
closest.
these 2 guys could get it all and I wouldn't get anything.
I'm just saying. I don't, yeah.
Guys, let's just go, let's
It's
just,
a
I tell you what, let's just go,
We could have a brawl in there.
they don't need that, let's just go by seniority, what do you say?
How about lack of
All
holidays?
age or what?
So you guys basically have already, they've already approved the
Yes.
application. You're just, so it's your consensus
Yeah.
to
I
allow you to
have
sign
to
the letter.
turn that in.
There we go.
Yeah.
All
You guys
right,
only have
so,
to
so,
vote. Don't vote.
do I need a vote to do
No.
this?
No,
By
I don't
consensus,
think-
you guys is all right with me
You
signing
said
these
vote.
letters?
I'm
All
good.
because it says
Yeah,
that-
Jill thinks we need to vote.
Because
Yeah,
the
vote.
last line in there says that you decided it on tonight's meeting.
Okay,
So I think you
I need a
better-
motion to
I'll
allow
take
me
a
to
motion.
sign.
To-
Mike's made a
to,
motion.
Make the Community Crossing and 6 separate grant applications
for my district only.
District was that?
I think I'm gonna disagree with that.
Do I have a second on allowing me to sign?
I second it all,
I'll
except for
make-
that one part.
Yeah.
That's what you said, the vote in there. Yeah, and then can I get you guys to make a motion to approve the modified public assistance CARES Act amount for jail, for the highway department?
And
And that's to make it.
I know I'm gonna say yes to that, but explain it all to me.
Just cause we bought a cheaper tractor.
Yes.
That's all
And
she's
we're-
asking you
And
to
I'm
do.
just asking you to
Yeah.
reapprove this
Okay,
at the modified amount.
Yeah,
So,
gotcha.
is that John Leslie doing that?
yeah.
Is my John
I
seconding?
made the motion,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll make it unanimous.
Oh, that's a bottom line, all right.
I knew you would.
Okay, so we've got you to continue the 6 separate grant letters for CC, all right?
I'll email that tomorrow morning.
You need
And I
all
need
these.
those to go
You need
tomorrow,
them.
and I need, this is ending the, sign inventory, it just has to have 2 county signatures, mine and yours. So if you'll just sign down there, it's just that it's closed out, that we're over, that they're done putting all this new signs up, and we have to
Oh,
close
that's,
it out
that
through the
was
state.
that.
That's the
company that was-
inventory grant that
yeah.
we got, yeah.
Okay. All right. Where you want this at down?
Right down there with that little, yeah, you can be
Yeah.
top, it doesn't matter.
There you go.
Okay, do you guys have anything for me? Cause if not, I'm like leaving.
The grant you get, have you already got the roads picked out and all that?
Yes,
So
sir,
just
you've
which-
already picked the roads out.
Yeah, right, but we
Yes.
don't know which ones are gonna get approved, so.
Correct.
We'll just see what happens.
I will say that when I got down to it, there was enough to do another mile, but I needed it quickly, so your road bosses picked that out, last Friday. But, I mean, it's fine, it's good road that they picked, but I'm just saying we asked for another mile than what you originally thought we were going to. Need anything from me? No?
No, I don't think
Robert?
so.
No? No? Okay, thank you.
All right, next up is the 911 EMA director position that has come open, I think, what, this week, is it 12th, isn't it?
She was over there today.
Yeah.
Ninth's our last actual day over, I think. The 12th is the last payday, I think.
Okay. Okay. And, what, I guess what's your thoughts on this position, and anybody got any thoughts, or?
Well, I'm assuming we're down to 4 names, or 3 names, is that right? Or is there other options here?
What do we have on
We
that?
posted the 5 days and then I sent you guys a text.
You think what?
I sent you guys a text.
Yeah, we got that,
With a picture of all the names,
yeah,
and that's who your candidates are.
yeah.
Because we carried over, and we took anything new in the 5 days that we had to repost.
Yeah, and we picked 3 names originally, and the other name has been added to it,
There was one additional application,
yeah.
but nobody, expressed an interest to conduct any.
Yeah, no interviews,
Right.
yeah. I'm ready to get it over with, good or bad, but we'll see what everybody wants to do.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I mean, I don't think I wanna go back through the process of reletting it and all that, you know, there was I think quality applicants first go around, I'm okay with it myself.
Do we do anything, or just make motions?
You can, I'll entertain a motion, if anybody's got a motion for the position of EMA director, how's that?
I'm ready to do that, unless you wanna go first or something, I'm ready,
I have, no, I'm just entertaining the motion.
okay. First, I think we got good candidates, I've never really had an option here where I thought we had people to do the job or not. But me personally, I always wanted to see it from within, and that's why I picked who I did before, so I'm gonna make a nomination for Jeff Fortner. Cause I like keeping within the building if we can do it. And go from there.
All right, Jeff has been nominated for the position. What about, do I hear a second on that?
Well, I'll make a comment.
Okay.
In this small community, you know a lot of people, you grow up with a lot of people, and you cross paths with a lot of people. But I don't have a problem with that nomination, but the one thing that I have an issue with is something I've said in the interviews, it's something I've said, you know, in our meetings or executive sessions, and is that I want to see change over there. Just as I've said in some other areas that we've tried to hire somebody or stayed with someone within the same department. I have a problem sometimes with and I guess me being a fireman for 35 plus years, I'm probably the biggest critic of 911. I probably have caused more grief with people that work over there than anybody in the world. I want to see some change. When this goes back all the way to, you know, almost I won't say the beginning of the time over there, but Carol Ritchie, I've had conversation with her about things that I thought were not being worked right. Then what was the next one came? Greg Brown.
Yes. No, he was first, wasn't it? And then Carol.
Anyway,
I think so.
but
Yeah.
had conversations with him, had conversations with Greg Ramone, have had conversations with Jessica. The things that me as a fireman, not me as a commissioner, but me as a fireman, and talking with police officers, talking with deputies, talking with other firemen, we don't get that from dispatch, and I've asked for it for years. I mean, to me, they're a professional organization, and sometimes when you say, well, I can't get so-and-so to do that, to me, that's an internal management problem. If Scottsburg Fire Department decides that our SOPs or our criteria of what we're gonna run is XYZ, then that's what we're gonna send to dispatch, and dispatch ought to dispatch it says XYZ, not, well, that's kind of difficult and I don't want to do it that way and it's just easier for us to do it this way. Well, that's fine and dandy, but it's not for each organization. So with that, whatever the vote's gonna be tonight, I want to see progress. I want to see people held accountable for either doing their job or not doing their job or whatever. I mean, praise people for doing it. And quite honestly, I'm gonna say, there was a call came out this morning and aggravated the dog crap out of me, but it was a dispatch call to the Catholic Church on McLean Avenue. Well, the Catholic Church isn't on McLean Avenue, and it had to be a fireman tell dispatch that, are you talking about First Christian Church or are you talking about Catholic Church? And it just had to be the fireman that made the call was on Cherry Street and had somebody flagging him down at the Catholic Church.
Actually, there's more people than that asked.
I know, but
Because I asked the same question, why was we dispatched to McLean?
I understand that, but that's the thing that's the thing that just aggravates me to death, that there's no accountability. Oh, just they're new or they're this or that. We need, and John, Lisa was one of the first ones that started that over there.
The first.
We were, and I mean, I still think we're good. We used to be top notch in Southern Indiana, and I want to get to that point. I want to be where we got an officer out here in the backside of Lexington and he's needing help, and somebody's gonna get him the help and get the information to the people that can get him the help. So there's situations where I'd want, just like I told Shannon the other day, I didn't vote for Shannon, but I want him to succeed, because when he succeeds, the county succeeds. But I know what's gonna happen, but I just want to make sure that we move forward and we just don't get in the same old funk that we've been in for a long time. And I know Greg Ramoni left town, and I hope I didn't run him off, but he hated, just like when they see my phone number come up on the 911, cause I called, and I've been hung up on, I've been everything else, and I'm like, all I want you to do is do the right thing, and that's what I'm asking. So.
And I'm in agreement with that. I happen to think I don't know Amber very well. She worked over at one time, but I do know Jeremy, and I think he'd do a great job too. I don't even know, that's not even a question to me. I happen to know Jeff very well. I mean, he worked for me for years over there, and I've never dealt with him over here, and he didn't try to go out of the way to help. But that don't mean there's not issues. And I'm with you on that. If we need to make it better, I'm for that. But I'll stick with my nomination.
I'm
because I want
not
to
trying to change your mind. I'm just saying,
inside there.
I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm just saying that here's why, whatever the vote is gonna be, and I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but that's what I want to see. I mean, if the old saying is, you're part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So I want to see it succeed. I want to see people held accountable for doing their job. And if somebody says, "Oh, that's too difficult for somebody," that's not an answer. Because everybody's job has different than, let's just have it universal. Everybody pushes a button and everybody gets dispatched. We're way beyond that technology. So.
I will say this, I agree 100% with the fact that I think myself and this board, we don't want this to be good, we want to be the best. That's what we said with the ambulance service, the EMS service. So I'm going to tell you about the 911. There's, we don't want, good's not good enough, being great is. And, with that being said, I also have talked this and tried to get this through, and I still believe, as a board of county commissioners, we also, that falls not only upon the people that's the department heads, that falls upon us to do a yearly review or evaluation, I think, of our department heads, and at that point, either give them directions on where we think we want them to be, if we feel that they're not there, or again, if they are doing everything that they should be doing, then I think that should be also noted all duly. But I think with and again, I've kind of preached this for several years, and it's never got to that point. And we talked to, I think, even with our personnel people. But I think it needs to be, you need to sit down once or twice a year with your department heads and say, hey, this is kind of the way we'd like to see it go. We're not quite where we think we ought to be. I don't think it's fair to an individual, myself, to be put in a position and then nobody ever go back and say, hey, you're either doing a good job or a bad job. And I just feel like we need to pick up our end of it too. So with that being said, I'll agree 100% with what you said. If it's not where it needs to be, we definitely want to see change. And if it's not change done in a timely manner, then I would that's going to fall upon us to make sure that that's going to happen in some way, I think.
And I know they had a problem with one or two over there recently, and I complained too.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they got rid of one individual. But I'm like you, there's when you send somebody down to the Catholic Church on McLean, that's you don't even need a computer for that. So whoever gets it, I mean, it may not be up to them now, but somebody's when that happens, something needs to be done, and excuses aren't good enough, so. But anyway, that's, we go.
But backing up here, we do have a motion on the table, and we will ask for a second on this one, and see where we go. I mean, at that point, I'm gonna tell you, I'm just like you, Mike, you know, I wish, it is a small community, you know everybody. The only thing that, and again, out of the ones that we interviewed, I think, before any of them, I think, has got the capabilities of doing this job. I wish we had could put them all in, but that ain't the way it works. The only thing I got to say is there's gotta be a deciding factor, and I think the deciding factor for me is if somebody, is paying, as I would say, pay their dues a little bit by being in there and working there and holding out, I think we offer them the opportunity. So, you know, with that being said, I mean, I will second John's motion if you want. But again, it is something that I'm going to agree 100%. If, in fact, all this happened, that's unexcusable, in my opinion. So, you know, there's got to be things, got to be changes. So, if we do have a motion and a second, I'll ask for the vote on that. If you'd like to vote for or against, I'll leave that up to you. How's that?
Well, I mean, I pretty much knew how it's gonna be, and that's fine. I mean, I don't have any less confidence in Jeff than anybody else. I mean, Jeff is, I've always said, when he dispatches, I know, I really can't ever tell if there's an airplane just crashed in Scott County, because he acts the same way no matter what. What is gonna be bad is that he's not gonna be on the radio. So, with that, you know, I know what's gonna happen, so I mean, I'll make it unanimous. Like I said, I wish him the best, and he and I have had multiple conversations over the damn year of where I believe, because somebody's gonna get hurt one of these days, and I don't want it to be one of my firemen, and I don't want it to be anybody else, but somebody's gonna get hurt, because just there's people over there that know how to do that job, and there's people that just are doing that job. So, and there's a difference. There's a difference between, I know how to do, and I'm gonna be honest. I've told him, and he'd be a liar if he tells me different. But I told him I couldn't do that job. There's no way, Billy go, you know what, that I could ever do that job. And because it takes someone special that can multitask and do multiple things at one time, and I can do a couple of things, but I can't do three or four. But I mean, all I ask is that there's change, and as Shannon said, that stuff that happened today should never happen. I mean, what happened today was going to happen anyway, and I don't think there was going to be a change in the outcome. But there's times when that could happen, and the other part of that is, we as a county here in some of the cities have created some roads that are similar, because they're dispatching for Scottsburg, Austin. There's a York Road in Scottsburg, and there's a York Road in Austin.
Yeah, sure.
And when you hear it's a lot number, well, you know it's Austin. But if it's an apartment, it's in Scottsburg. But that gets messed up too. But all I'm asking is that there's a change. So.
And I want to say, I agree with you, by the way. I don't think when you're talking with life and death experiences is a good time to be easy. It's got to be serious. And I'm gonna say to Jeff, I'd like you to talk. Shannon's done a great job of getting this thing going, and he's done a great job of communicating with everybody. And that's a pretty good example how I'd like to see you get started here. Just me, but I'm not trying to compare you, but you've got off to a good start. And so many times, and this is a good example. I didn't know that happened this morning. So And I know you can't call us every time, but, yeah, if we know about it, we're more apt gonna wanna know what happened and get done, so, okay,
I was, and,
Let's work together.
yes,
We work full-time together for 10 years,
yeah,
so we work good together. Mike, I've been working on the rest of October's schedule. We're still not here on the radio. I'm covering 2 shifts for people that requested off, at least 2 shifts. So I'm still gonna be on the radio, I'm not giving that up.
okay.
If I need it out there, I'm gonna be there.
Okay, he be starting 13th? I mean, I know we'll send you over
yeah,
officially, but,
whatever, her ending day is the 12th, right?
That's what I
Yeah.
remember her.
So, yeah, it
saying.
would pick up the 13th. You know, but and I'm gonna say something here too, and Mike, you know, and I know that you have called there, and, but I'm gonna say this, is for a board, any board to work, I think, each and every person up here brings something different to this table. I know you and John is going to bring more, I guess, resources for 911 and things of that nature, because you guys deal with it, you know, and that's what makes a board work. So, you know, if you're sticking somebody's side a little bit, so to speak, keep it up. That's my opinion, because in my opinion, that's what makes things better, is you ask questions and you ask the hard questions. And so on behalf of myself on this board, I certainly appreciate the thought that you care enough about the people in the community that you make them calls and you do that. Because again, I don't receive them calls, because I'm not in Farming, like you are, and you hear it come in all the time. And of course, John, past sheriff here, you guys have dealt with it a lot more than I do, so, you know, I commend both of you.
Could you stand getting hung up on?
I don't know, well, I've been hung up on a time or two, so I guess maybe I could.
If I had any concerns, it's, I'm looking backwards, there's so many things, you know, I had no idea there were problems in some of this stuff. And I always took kind of the blame because I didn't go check it out close enough myself. But now we're getting more information to us and we can make better decisions if people are telling us what's going on. So that's what I'm saying. If there's some issues, we need to know about it, even though you may be dealing with it. I don't want to hear about it from somebody on the street.
Yeah. All right, moving forward, the county social media policy letter. County department heads, is this one of?
This is Wagner and Julie prepared this because we had received a couple of complaints about social media posts and it being detrimental to.
I can be a little more specific there if you don't mind.
I'll let you do what you want to do.
There's been, and I don't know if anybody means or thinks they're doing anything really awful that wrong, but I know there's been a case or two where a department head has had some issue and then somebody goes over social media and they complain one way or the other. And sometimes employees may jump in. And they'd be wise, I think, if our policy is correct, not to. It'd be like, Shannon does something and somebody starts complaining and the sheriff's department complains about Shannon. Our policy says that's not supposed to happen. And I think it is happening, and I know my understanding is we've had letters sent to our department heads, but apparently it hasn't really made much difference.
Back in
And,
May,
yeah,
Bob Houston called me directly and asked me to make a copy of our social media policy because he felt like it, to some degree, what he had been informed of, and it might have been an issue that's already brought before the commissioners in some part, he wanted me to send a payroll stuffer out reminding everybody about social media and their interaction with the public and in regards to county or other county employees. So on May the 8th, 2020, I did a payroll stuffer. Went on every paycheck, pay stub, whatever. Then this issue has recently arisen again, and a department head was very disappointed in some reactions that were discovered in social media about their particular performance, and it enlisted, which you can't control everybody's conversation, but it incited other people to say things that even got down to a personal level with this person these people were not employees. But comments only lead to other comments, and they're all kind of collectively, and some of our employees were involved in some comments.
Yeah,
And so,
and it might be a simple little thing of liking somebody who says something negative about our
and
whatever.
sharing and posting,
Yeah.
things that could be negative to the county's business.
So is this, but I guess what I'm asking here now is, this is not changing our handbook, this
No,
is
no,
what's
it's
been
just
in the
staying,
handbook.
I mean,
And you're basically just saying, sending this out as a reminder that, there is a social media policy in
And
place.
please
and-
be aware and
Well,
look at the
yeah.
handbook
I'm gonna give you
and,
my thoughts. I think our department heads will be doing something about it, not so much us. I mean, we need to remind them, it's their job to enforce this. And I think they're just telling the employees and then like walking away and forgetting about it. I mean,
but we
and
even,
maybe there might be a few employees we don't tell what to do too. I mean, department heads, so. Anyway,
but this,
I don't know how you
this is
take
just
this.
a memo from you all to your department heads and for them to pass it on to their employees, reminding of the count, and this is all in our handbook. This
Yeah.
is nothing new, this is not anything extra. Wagner, Irwin, and Shealy wrote this. I did not have anything to do with this document other than ask them to write something, because, the Board of Commissioners probably need to send another reminder out about policy.
I haven't took a good look at this, but what's the punishment, you say, if the department head wants to do something?
There's levels of punishment in the handbook,
And then
but
it
if
would be-
it is gross enough, that it could be up to termination.
Okay.
You'd have to read the handbook and find out the offenses, because we got 1, 2, and 3 levels or something like that.
You know, personally, I don't think the employees are doing this really
I don't-
have bad, but it's so easy to jump into the social media thing. And we've been told, so I don't know. They need to-
Well, the only problem I ever have with, I guess, social media outlets is that, and where the line stops and starts is that, you know, everybody has a First Amendment right to say whatever the heck they want, when they want, and technically, if you've seen in the last several months, any place you want. So, I have a hard time telling somebody they, you know, when they're off the clock and they're at home and they want to get on social media and say something that, you know, as long as they're not, you know, doing something outrageous, I guess, and you gotta define outrageous. But, I think I always hate to stifle somebody's, First Amendment right to be able to say whatever they want, because it's obvious, some of these people that are protesting out here saying some of these stuff to people and police officers and everything else. Would they talk to their mother the way they talk to people? Do they respect somebody else? I don't think they do. I mean, it pretty much disheartens me to see some of the things I've seen on social media here lately, Facebook and some of the news coverage of people just eating at a restaurant, minding their own business, and people coming up and sitting down at their table and just refusing to leave. I mean, I'm sorry that somebody's gonna get hurt in this world. I mean, because you know, that's not the way you respect people. And back to the First Amendment, they have a right to stand and protest outside and do whatever they want, and that's part of the Constitution. I mean, you can do that and say whatever you want, but I mean, but there's a point in time when it's crosses the line. But back to this is that I understand we need a policy, and I think that while you're at work, you know, you shouldn't be on Facebook anyway. You shouldn't be on Facebook. You shouldn't be on you know, any of those social media outlets, but sometimes I have a hard time when you leave this area, you leave your work area, that, you know, you can't say what you want. And I know people's been fired for doing that.
Can I comment on that?
Sure.
The one thing that I wanna do for EMS, I don't care if they post on there, but not during their shift.
Yeah.
And they cannot, absolutely cannot be in uniform with the Scott County logo that says Scott County EMS on there. I don't care what their opinion is, but when they're working for me on the clock for this county, they can't, and they cannot be any identifier saying that they work for this county.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's
I
why
think
I want you.
Well, also, okay if they criticize you and they're off duty in your department.
That's
And I don't mean that to be smart, I mean that,
Right.
what you're saying is they can do that.
Let me say this, and I think it's.
There's a fine line there.
I don't think there is, and let me tell you why. I think that every employee that's hired is handed that handbook, it says, read that handbook, and this is our policies,
Yeah.
and by signing that, that is part of their employment, they are agreeing that they will follow them policies.
I understand.
Now, with that being said, when they break that policy, we're not telling them that they can't say that, we're just saying if you want this job, this is the policies that we have in place, you have to follow them. And if they don't follow them, then at that point, and I think, I'm sure that, I know when I worked with, Coca-Cola, they had policies in place, and I think UPS has policies in place.
I don't agree
And
with it.
I understand, but again,
Yeah,
when
I
you
still
sign
say
that
well,
book, when you sign that book, that says that now you do agree
It's
with
a
it.
long way from Atlanta to my house, so that I can say whatever I want.
I understand, but again, it is
I think it's
something.
been held up to the courts.
Yeah, and again, I think that's the key to it is that
Unless
it
we
is,
want to change it.
you know, and that's, again, the letter is to go out now,
And that-
is to the department heads to say, hey, we do have a policy, and you need to follow the policy, and as far as I'm concerned, I don't have a problem with the letter going out.
Yeah.
Well, we've
Again,
sent it before, but
Yeah.
I said, don't get me wrong, I think we need a policy of some sort, but as somebody that likes the Constitution, if I wanna stand out here on the street and say something, you're not gonna tell me I can't say it. If I can stand in front of any police
Sure.
officer and
Sure,
call
we're
them
not-
everything but a.
and we're not telling them they can't say it either, we're just saying that if you say it, and then
Then
after
you
you've
be
signed
fired.
off, that you ain't gonna have a job, you can say it all you want to out there.
But we expect.
That's I think that's the key to it, is we're not telling them,
I
no,
wasn't trying to argue Shannon a minute
Yeah.
ago, but I mean, the policy
Yeah.
we're saying doesn't match up to this policy.
well, and
And that's what I'm going on.
here's another thing,
So we gotta
It
either
is
change it or
undermining
keep it.
to,
Yeah.
our purpose here is to work together.
yes.
Yeah.
And if someone is gonna be that deliberate as to jeopardize their relationship at work by saying something outside of work hours on social media, then they take that risk of being terminated or disciplined or whatever, because I wouldn't care for it. I've got a small office and you can get one bad apple in there and spoil the whole bunch.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
and we, unfortunately, and I'm gonna state this from a standpoint, county and any government workers, for some reason, I'm gonna be very brave here, think they hold people hostage that are elected officials because they've got a vote and they've got family. That makes them a little more comfortable than if they were at a private employer, that if they found out they had disparaged a coworker or they'd done something else, they'll get canned the next day when they walk in.
You know,
Absolutely.
So there's our problem.
Yeah.
That's our problem.
Yeah.
And people do not need to feel that comfortable because we are an employer, we have an identification number, we pay taxes, and we're an employer just like Pepsi or anybody else in this county. And we have to have respect among our workers.
What's wrong? That's what's wrong with society.
There is a lack of
no one
respect.
No one has respect.
And I
for
agree with
anybody.
you,
Just
Mike,
right there
that's
what
right.
Bob said about Coca-Cola, you were saying about UPS, I can tell you how you help. If you're caught, if you are in a picture with our ambulance or the logo of the company on it, and it's a derogatory because they have a department that trolls, you are terminated on the spot.
Yeah.
Well, on UPS's side, if you do anything on your computer that you type a certain word, there's a warning comes up and says,
Back up.
That's
You
what
better
I
not do this.
What it's worth, I think this is very, very minimal. I don't see a lot of this. But every now and then you'll see a little bit of something and I can get.
Well, my whole thing, I would say this, and I'll leave it alone, but I've always told employees, and I've had hundreds of employees over my years of being a manager. You're not happy where you're at, don't go to social media and get rid of it. If you're that angry, you're that disappointed, you're that upset about your job, then go find another one. Because you're making everybody around you miserable.
I used to do
And
that
we
all-
we want people to be happy.
I used to do that
Just
over
happy,
all,
happy, happy.
I used to do that all the time over there. I said, well, I hear they're hiring out here, so. Nobody
So
left.
what do you need, just consensus on this?
And then I can send that to,
Yes.
and
I'm
email
okay.
that out to the
Yeah,
department.
I'm
heads.
good
It's
with
already
it.
policy.
It's not, yeah, it's a policy, it's not changed, so I'm good with that.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna pick up the pace here a little bit, guys. We've got the CARES Act, public assistance request for payroll reimbursement.
We already kind of went over the changes
Kinda
that
all
we.
went over
yes.
that, so
And I just need approval because I have, again, pay periods March 8th through May 30th for the E911 dispatch EMA department. I'm gonna be requesting $117,626.92 in payroll reimbursement. I'm going to be requesting for the EMS department $139,758.39. And these are the same pay dates. For the 4 health department employees, that would be Michelle, Patty Hall, and the 2 nurses that were directly related to COVID, $39,639.60. And then finally, for the jail only, this has nothing to do with sheriff's deputies because I feel like the jail had to really put the effort to keep that congregate population COVID-free during this time period. Their payroll is $244, $347.58. Again, the same group, it's just a larger group of people, same pay dates. So that takes down, whenever you see Jill's submission for the 150, I'm down to that 83,000, which with Diane, that's gonna make me, again, I've just got about $2,000 with all these requests that you guys are basically spent out until we hear back from Jill and Diane's requests. And then I can expend more with payroll if that's your all's pleasure and be done with CARES. But everything else that I can get 75% for that's hardware and emergency response related, I can try to go through FEMA and get 75% of that because there is no dollar amount on that.
Okay, all right.
So if you'll just approve those 4 departments being CARES grant application requests, then I will get those submitted tomorrow.
So if we get reimbursed for this money, is the money going back to each
To
individual
the
budget?
funds, if, it's, a health department's a separate tax rate, so they're gonna get dispersed, that's why I did 4 separate ones, so we can track the exact dollar amounts. So they'll get their money back to their, and then council will have to either, appropriate it, it'll go back into their budget as revenue, and then they can reappropriate it to spend the remainder of the year or let it roll forward in their, ending balance to have more money
So
next
it's
year.
not going to the general fund to be
No,
spent somewhere
No,
else?
unless it came from general fund, and unless there's a little bit of jail or something that was expended from general, it's gonna go right back to the funds it came from.
Okay.
All right, I hear a motion to allow her to submit that for the CARES Act, payroll reimbursement. John's made a motion, second.
I'll say.
I'll make it unanimous.
I am gonna ask this person that, about the guy that's.
I would love for
I
you
still
to.
question that, so.
Yeah.
What about the morgue
Let's,
location in
let's
2020?
actually, can I intervene here? Can we let him talk so he can get out of here?
No.
Yeah.
I've got quite a few things. You guys go ahead. I'm good.
Okay, all right. Well, back to the morgue. I've got an agreement here that actually went to, Bob Houston's got it. I think I asked him to send it to you as well. I don't know if you got it or not. Pretty much Bob told me that he was comfortable with everything. He would like to see, later to just have a description, maybe an amendment to this saying the description of where the building or what area the thing's gonna be, and I already know where it's at, but anyway, Jerry Buchanan's seen it, approved it, knows what's going on there. So I guess I wanna make, I guess I want to see if we can get an motion to approve this, to lock this in, because, the new CEO out there said, hey, you know, the attorneys are, you know, want this as soon as possible. Actually, he signed it on September the 18th, and I told him, I said, we just had a meeting, and it's gonna be a while before we have a meeting again, so, I guess I just wanna, get that done tonight, so that Jerry can go to council and get the money to get a table, get a cooler, and, get the place set up, so. Cause again, January 1, we don't have a corner place anyplace. And actually, he also, the hospital said that EMS would have access to that room to where they can, if you have someone, you can drop them there too.
And I've talked to Dalton. I've not got to Lonnie yet. You know, whatever they need us to do. I've even reached out to where we start having extra trucks that we're gonna be selling. I would really encourage the coroner's office to possibly look at one of our older ambulances and one of our power stretchers that we have, so that we don't have to be hauling these patients on these bodies. Simply for the fact that we have to zoom one, or we've had one somewhere for a while, that we're not tying up the ambulance for one, and two, it's just a sanitary measure situation.
Yep, I agree.
So,
I think you're probably right on this. I've done a little researching on it myself, and I was kinda hoping to keep it in one of the funeral homes, but obviously nobody wants anything to do with it. I did have some concerns. I called down Clark, and there was some concerns about when the hospital owns it, or who has priority use and that kind of stuff. But, and I had talked to Dalton, matter of fact, just on there a minute ago, and he's for it. I can't swear to what Lonnie's on, I haven't talked to Lonnie.
Right.
But, I think you're right, this is the best way to go.
Well, actually, talking with Scott Edwards, which is the new CEO out there, and talking with Stephen Carey, which is also one of the administrators out there, they see it as a win for them as well, because they're gonna end up with a morgue that someone passes away in the hospital, that their family, or they're going to Kentucky or to Ohio or someplace else, killed in a car wreck out here or something, they can utilize that space as well. There's a guard there 24 hours, 365. If somebody needs to get in from a funeral home outside the state or whatever, they see it as a win in a partnership with the council or with the commissioners.
Well, if we need to be in there for some reason, can we go in? I don't know why we would, but if something happened out there and the ambulance was out there, we're allowed in.
Yeah, you could.
I would think so. You know, my original thought was to hold it off till after.
my only one thing is making sure we got a 4-drawer facility.
That's what I'm working with Jerry. Jerry's he wants to get back out there and measure them and see how big of a cooler he can get.
That's what I was gonna say. We talking 2, 3, 4? What are we talking there? Cooler, size cooler.
It'll be at least a 4. If it's not just an open and you will them in.
The
Okay.
only reason why I say a 4 is because Washington County's had an influx. They're double capacity right now. As of last 2 weeks ago, I know they had 6 or 7 in that morgue. So they've had an overrun of overdoses like what we're having right now.
Yeah.
So I think a 4-drawer facility would be.
It's at least a 4.
Now, we're paying for the cooler, is that
We're
correct?
paying for everything inside that room.
All right.
Is
Which
that,
Jerry said
So
he figured out
I'm
about
trying to figure
10.
out, we have 2 issues here. One, are we gonna vote to put it out there, and the second one, we have to vote for a cooler?
Well,
Pay for it, whatever.
I've already told the council months ago,
But if they
actually
approve it.
probably in February, that,
And I
hey,
think
this
it's
is
in their
coming.
budget proposal, yeah.
And Jerry,
For
I asked
next year,
him,
though.
no, but I already told him,
I know, but you'll need it starting before
January.
January.
Jerry knows, or Jerry's already supposedly talked to the council and said, here's what I think it's gonna cost. It's gonna be around this ballpark figure, which is, I think, around $10,000, what I told them. And so he said, and I've told him, hey, you better be prepared, because it's gonna have to happen, so.
And I'm gonna add, I'm gonna throw more work on me. There is FEMA, because I've been through 2 of those grant applications already, and it's for storage of human remains.
But don't we have to
So,
vote for
I
the
think
cooler
they get-
tonight too?
No,
That goes to the
No,
council.
no, I think this here, yeah, our only thing is this is basically an agreement,
Just a work.
letter of intent between Scott County and the hospital that just says
Yeah.
that we'll put it in there. And if, what I'm understanding here is the hospital intends to allow the coroner to utilize the defined space, for the purpose of providing morgue, cooler space, performing autopsies, and office space. Now, I'm kinda like Bob, I would like to know that defined space, but it don't spell it out in here. But it allows coroner 24/7 secure access, and it'll allow the coroner to utilize the defined space free of rent. Now, the coroner intends to pay 100% of the tenant improvements, so anything he does, but, you know, again, the following tenant improvements are that he's talked about adding 2 body coolers to the morgue space. Well, in my opinion, he's probably talked to the council about that. If it's gonna be any more than that, he's gonna need to talk to the council. That's not us for us to
Just
decide.
my conversation, Jerry, he was talking somewhere $5,000 to $10,000.
And that- and-
That's what he told
And
me.
that could very well
Back in
be.
February.
We're just basically saying
So-
that on behalf of the county commissioners, we are basically gonna enter into a partnership with the Scott Memorial Hospital that says that's where the county morgue's gonna be.
I mean, I can tell you where it's gonna be, if you, when you walk, remember the old wing that went straight back west? The door that walks out the back of the building, the first 2 on the north side, that's where it's gonna be, cause there's an access road back there, there's a paved, a sidewalk straight to that door, and they can badge in right there, turn around, badge right in, so.
But if the council's allowed the money, you can go ahead and order it, and we don't have to wait till January.
That-
I think
that's-
we're
no,
trying
that's
to
why-
get
That's
it
the
done.
coroner and the council.
Yeah, that's,
You guys are just agreeing for the
to-
space.
yeah,
That's
we don't
all.
have
Yeah,
nothing to
you
do
don't
with that.
have, that's between the
That's
coroner
between
and
the
the council.
coroner and the council.
They know that it has to be done
Yeah.
before January.
And if they don't have it, then,
But whoever wins this thing's gonna have to make a decision that November 4th. To say, yeah, get
No,
this
it's,
thing
no,
ordered.
it's Jerry, once we approve it, Jerry will go to the council and say, I gotta order it.
Okay, so Jerry can do it as a
Yeah.
coroner now?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Cause he's gonna set it up.
Yeah, okay, so it'll be ready to go January 1.
I think the biggest problem you'll have is the drain.
There's a drain in there, cause those were rooms at one time.
Right, I know.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure you did, because that's what they got into over at Washington County on their new one, was the backflow.
Yeah, those were old rooms and they just covered up the plumbing there, so we just
That's
had,
good.
we just have to plumb it back.
Have we already voted or not?
no, we need a motion to, and I think Mike made the
I'll make a
motion.
motion.
You second the motion on?
I
this?
do. I second
I
the
will,
motion.
I will make it unanimous, and is this the letter you need signed?
Actually, Bob Houston has a second copy, and you probably need to have that, cause we need to have one, and they need to have one, so Bob Houston has the other copy of that, so. So if you see him, you need to sign that one, I guess we can keep that one and send that one back to them.
Right,
You don't need to put that, do you want that
I'll
one?
take it to him.
Okay.
there you go, okay.
I might get a copy of that
Yeah,
before
that's
you leave tonight.
What about the, okay, we won't do the,
Just a,
let's get him up here, yeah, come on out. Let's get him up
Poor
here,
guy.
What am I trying to say?
yeah.
All right. We'll make it short and brief and
All right.
synopsis.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kurt.
All right, guys, what I got in front of you there, first 48 days. Operation-wise, we're talking about the fuel usage, paying full price, with permission of you guys. If you sign the information tonight for Premier, I can get started on that next week. I talked to the sales rep, no social security numbers go on there.
So you've got the 2 credit applications that he's referring to. Bob Zillman's got a copy of those because you guys had basically, he talked to you about them once before,
Right, last meeting.
but we need to fill them out and then get them signed.
Right.
so where's this tank gonna be?
It's gonna be right in the back parking lot in the center. There's a existing light pole. It has 110
There's two
service
of them,
going
one
to
to
it, so
Premier
we'll just
and one
use that
Super.
circuit on that one. And with us going with the smaller unit, we don't have to have a separate circuit. All I have to do is clear the dirt back, which I've got Jill on board with me using their equipment. They're gonna haul the rock. We're gonna extend that parking lot there in the back about 20 feet all the way across, and then we're gonna backfill it with rock, pack it in. They're gonna use their skid loader, dozer, whatever I need to do to get it done. The one thing we are gonna do, add to it, is that tree in the back, that's sycamore tree. Since it's dead in the top, this is gonna cause us problems, we're gonna remove that tree. I'm just trying to get quotes on that right now, and all I wanna have them do is just cut it, cut the stump, because I know some people that need the wood for firewood. So it's not gonna cost you guys anything other than me to have.
Where can we cut trees down now, can't we? We had that
Yeah.
conversation.
It's a sycamore and it's dead.
Yeah.
So, and it's a forked sycamore, one part of it's going, I have no problem cutting it, one part of it myself, because it's gonna go in the field. The other section, I'd have to move the dumpster, that's all I'd have to move, it's in the parking lot, so we can get that done. We don't even have to really, the only thing I need Rob for is or whoever, is for the stump removal, to grind it down, that's all I need to do.
Okay.
Has Malcon got with you yet on there?
Yes.
Is that, what are you thinking?
At the Malcom, we're getting taxes back from previous years. They went back to 2017. They still haven't got us the numbers yet, what they're getting, but they are getting fuel tax on the diesel, not so much on the gas. So when we go to a gas fleet, I'm not sure what that's gonna leave us at, but we're paying at a super discounted rate, so we're actually getting that on the front end versus on the back end. So that's gonna help us there on that, because we'll be buying gasoline, $1.84 a gallon at fixed until May or March, and diesel fuel for $2.10, I think it was, fixed until March, then we renegotiate. I did reach out to Boo. The problem with his suppliers is I have to buy 10,000 gallons at that particular time, and then I have to have a 10,000 gallon storage unit, and I don't have that. And that was the problem trying to buy the futures in him, is that he just don't have the facilities, I don't have the facilities. And I've talked to IDEM. IDEM says they don't care what we do, it's under 1,000 gallons. I don't have to have special permitting, I don't have to do soil samples, soil testing, or nothing like that. I didn't see
No
a pond.
pit or anything?
No, sir. They're double line tanks. That's why we're gonna put it on a heavy line base. So if we do have some seepage, it's not gonna be much, it's gonna be minimal. So that way we're obligated with the EPA, they're gonna be happy with that.
Okay.
We're good there.
And the reason he mentioned social security numbers, because that application wanted all three of your own socials, and we
Yeah.
do not do that.
Yeah,
So he
they're just
explained that to me.
they're just basically wanting our billing information. That's all they want. They wanna know where they're gonna send the bill to.
Okay.
So that's all we have to fill out on that.
Bob, you put yours on.
I've done wrote yours. All right, well, first things first here, what about let's talk about this on this commercial credit application. Again, it'll be under Scott County government, Scott County EMS. And I'm assuming that each person that will sign out a card or, well, they won't need that because they'll be getting fuel right there. You're the only one's gonna have a
Actually, what they're
card.
gonna get with the fuel system, they're gonna get a little fob
Mhm.
that tells me their name, their password. I have the camera pointed towards the tank, so I know who's filling it up, it's recorded. So I have it on video, I have it on their punch, and then I download it every Monday morning. I can tell you what truck, how much, what the mileage was, and the person that pumped it. And then I have the camera on the tank to verify.
Okay, all right.
And it's all motion centered on the cameras. So we're totally 100% secure on that part.
Okay.
And they're the ones that issue the numbers. We don't issue the numbers. So we have no fight in the dog. All we can do is say, we have a new employee, they need a number, and then Premier gives them their number, which is specifically to them.
That's all I say.
Yeah. So if I do have somebody goes back here and tries to do that, then I can see it on the camera and it's recorded.
Okay.
And that was one of my concerns as well with the fuel, is making
What's
sure
your thought?
who we can appropriate that with.
I'll make a motion.
Make a motion to
So you're gonna
allow
have a heck of
for,
a savings.
for this commercial credit
15,000.
application for fuel.
Second.
I'll make it unanimous. Just need it.
So it's $15,000, we have to spend $5,500 for the monitoring system, but we're still saving ourselves, you know,
Change.
$8,000, you know, $9,000.
First year, next year, you don't have to, next year it's.
And then I lock in the prices in March, I lock the prices in again for another year. So I know exactly what my fuel budget's gonna be, and I can only tell you how many gallons I'm pumping. That's gonna fluctuate a little bit because we're gonna be going to some gas engines versus diesel, because once I get rid of these diesel trucks.
So that, I want to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Is any of the ambulances out there, propane fueled anymore?
No, sir. No propane and no liquid, CO2 trucks. Because I know some of the fleets did, there were a couple of fleets that did that, and the containment systems were so large that it just wasn't feasible for them to do it. And we have to have, the state statute says we have to be able to drive 150 miles on a tank of gas, and I don't think the propane trucks had the distance. No. Depends on how they're driven.
I was just curious.
Yeah, no.
It's
So-
suburban.
Right.
Yeah, there's the suburban type. That's- you did
Sure.
it.
What's,
On the suburban tone, if we needed to take a truck from Scottsburg to Clarksville, they'll send us a rollback. They will not drop the drive line on the truck to get it up, to get it down there. That's why we're going with that. So we don't have to drop drive shafts, we don't have to worry about none of that stuff. They got a heavy enough rollback to do that stuff with.
I guess my question on that would be, is nobody locally have one that can do
Not that
that?
heavy.
Not that heavy?
Goodens has the record, the truck records, but they still need to drop the drive line, and with those two four-wheel drive trucks, that's just gonna be a disaster for us if we do that. Louisville Metro doesn't drop drive lines, New Chapel does not, and AMR does not drop drive lines on their trucks,
Okay,
and neither does Jackson County, so
okay.
they're the only one around here that's got, besides 31 record, that's got anything that's gonna haul it.
And this is just a credit application for a business account, allowing them to set that up to where they can do that, so.
Yeah, that way I don't have to call with the card number they have. on
Last
the
time I used them, it was $40,000.
Well, I got lucky, with some strings that I have down there. It only cost us $250 to haul from Scottsburg down there. So, that one kinda paid off.
All right, entertain a motion to
I'll
allow.
make a motion.
John made it, second? Yep, Mike. Okay.
I'm just curious, I know sheriff emergency vehicles, they do all this, specialized training, driving training. Do you guys do any of that?
Right here.
You're trained to do it, certified? No, okay. Where do you do it at? Just curious.
What we usually do, what I've done in the past is use high school parking lots.
Okay.
Now, the police one's a little bit different than what I do through the state, but it's still an emergency vehicle driving course.
So nobody drives an ambulance till they're certified or had,
According to
Signed off.
state law says they can drive them.
I know.
As long as they've been shown where the brake is, the gas is, and the steering wheel.
Oh, I know it. That's
So,
kinda-
but that's another discussion we're gonna have as far as going through the driver's training, because that's something we're gonna get into. For our insurances to drop through our carriers, we have to do driver's training, for one. So we're gonna do the EVOC class, and we're gonna do a CVO. And you two might know about CVO, commercial drivers training. This is what that company does. So instead of being an aggressive driver, it's basically teaching you to be a reactive driver, pay attention to what you're doing.
Smith system.
Yeah, so basically you're gonna swing wide. In another aspect of the driving program, I'm wanting to put driving systems in the trucks once I find the driving system that we're looking for, that will give me real-time data, which I know you both probably know about. Well, I can assure you, you have, because that's gonna tell you how fast you're going,
Oh, I get
how
a
many
text
times
message.
how many times you brake, if you brake hard, and that's the key to what we gotta get done. That's another break on our insurance for our trucks.
I get a text every time a driver's over 68 miles an hour.
And that's another thing, most places will set a 10 over, and once you hit that 10 over, you got an X amount of time to get it back down, and you get a major violation.
10 over what?
The posted speed limit.
Kinda hard to argue that kind of stuff, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it'll actually record how many times you do not use your turn signals. It doesn't tell you it's doing that, but it actually does.
Hmm.
So that's two things I'm looking at.
Could you, just curious, could you work with fire departments on that too? I assume them old boys need.
Absolutely. If they want that done, we have no problem doing that class.
Okay.
That's part of the new, the outreach program that we're gonna have, is because we have to be able to share that stuff with them as well.
And you'll offer it out to them?
I have that program.
Cause driving them big beasts is a lot different driving a police car.
Right.
Yeah, and,
Right.
so it would be a specialized thing.
Absolutely.
We're just, you never think about that. I just got hired as an EMT or a paramedic, and I'm driving an ambulance
I
now.
always thought the biggest key to driving was keeping the adrenaline under control.
Right. Well, and the thing is not to overdrive your vehicle. And that's what most people do.
Mm-hmm.
They overdrive the vehicle. They don't think, well, look and pay attention to what they're doing. They just get in it and say, well, we gotta go fast. Well,
Yeah,
it's Mike's emergency. It's not my emergency.
tunnel
And
vision.
tunnel vision. And that's the thing. You gotta stay calm and operate your car or your truck where you need to
I
be.
always thought the training was one. I loved the training. It was a
Right.
blast.
Right.
So they should enjoy it, I think, actually, and learn at the same time.
You know, and backing up to, on what he's saying right there, I think, I've been thought about that either out there, but I almost believe that we need to come up with some kind of protocol with every department, because when you think about it, similar to county
We
highway.
drive our vehicles.
But like in county highway, you don't think about that, but you put somebody on a $75,000 tractor that's never run a tractor, or $75,000, well, $100,000 track hoe that we've got down there, and they've never run anything like that, there needs to be some kind
About
of,
a $500,000 fire truck.
And
Yeah,
if
there
something
you
goes
go.
wrong, they're gonna be in
Yeah.
this room right here.
yeah, and when it goes south,
Yeah.
guess where it's coming, right here,
Hey,
this
you
table.
guys do something.
And,
Actually, of all the years that Scottsburg Fire Department, I've been on the fire department, we've never had a major accident where we've even bumped a car. And we allowed a city employee to drive one of our trucks from the water department to the fire station and put it in the ditch. And cost us on $100,000 worth of.
You know, used to, I mean, I can remember the whole time we talked here, but,
No.
the insurance company used to do the training for us. And they would always take it to Sports Drum. Sports Drum allowed training down there. So I don't know if that's still available or not, but
I don't know
it
about
was a
that.
good,
But my concern, and I know I've drove the ambulance multiple times over the years, but
I did too. believe it or
my whole
not.
problem was always, sometimes it's taking somebody to drive the ambulance, yelling out the door, and, you don't know if that person's, first of all, has their driving experience, and the second of all, just like you said, the adrenaline.
And that's the problem with the people we're gonna be hiring, and it's not, we're specifically hiring them, but a lot of people nowadays have not experienced driving a very large vehicle. And 90% of them can't back.
Yeah.
So with these new trucks that we're gonna be purchasing, backup camera is standard, on-spot chains is standard, the new bull bars on the front are gonna be standard for safety measures.
One thing that, and I think I heard you say that a minute ago, and I'm just gonna question why, was I think I heard you say that you're looking at gas engines? And why?
I would personally love gas engines because I'm tired of going to wheelies, and I'm tired of hearing about 6.74 diesel engines, and they're basically like a V71 Detroit. They look more oil than what they're worth.
Yeah.
Harrison County's 6.7 diesels, they've put in 4 or 5 new turbos. They've had, these trucks out here have had the engines pulled 3 times. One truck has 151,000, the other truck has 131,000. The engines have been pulled 2 to 3 times. And those engines have a 2-piece oil pan, and the gaskets ain't worth a crap. I cannot find a Dodge truck with a Cummins diesel engine in it, because we could probably get a rebate on the Cummins engine, but there's no Dodge truck sitting around. Chevy has a 6.6, but they're having the same issues with those, and it's all because of the emissions. The gas truck with the 7.3 V8 engine that come out this year actually gets more mileage than what our diesel trucks get. Our four-wheel drive trucks average right around 6.5 to 7 miles per gallon. The new V8 gas will average around 9 to 10. And maintenance cost is way cheaper.
What's the longevity?
The V8 engine, I can't tell you because it's new, but they spent a ton of money on this new V8 because that's what's going into the 3/4 ton, 1-ton, 450 trucks, even the 550s.
The only reason,
If I was to blow a gas engine, it's gonna cost me right around $8,000 to $10,000. If I crap one of these 6.7s, you're talking $15,000 to $20,000. That's the biggest thing to me. I can afford to put a second engine in that truck before I can even put a second engine, diesel engine in that truck.
diesel, you know, it's always been, well, okay, torque and and longevity of the motor, but just like me, I had a truck the other day, I've got several trucks turned over 1 million miles, but there's a lot of maintenance that goes on to keep that 1 million miles, and the oil change alone is not cheap.
Well, you figure most of our the trucks we have now with the diesel engines in them, we're spending at least $100.
Oh, yeah.
You know, shock rate, anything over a ton truck is about $95 to $125 a shop hour. So, and realistically speaking, even though we're still gonna pay that for the gas engine trucks, we're still way cheaper on our oil usage and everything else. Then we don't have to worry about fuel depth, we don't have to worry about scrubbers, we don't have to worry about regeneration on the engines. So it's just a whole lot simpler and easier to go the gasoline route. Because if those trucks sit more than 20 minutes running, we're gonna have to spend that 45 minutes to an hour and a half to burn those scrubbers out, so we don't regen, and then we have to go back to the factory to get it, or the dealership to get it fixed.
Yeah, I run into that problem all the time.
You know, it's, I do, talking about the oil leaks on that, of course, I do have that 6.7 engine. And it's, again, mine's not run like them is, but I don't have a leak one that I know of on mine, and it's, we got over 100,000 miles.
I find
right
it's
now.
in the ambulances, not so much in the school buses,
Mhm.
not so much in commercial trucks, but people don't understand how to drive a diesel engine.
Mhm, sure.
And since they don't know how to drive a diesel engine truck, they just think getting in it and pushing her to the floor is not how you do it, and that's not how you drive these new diesel engines.
Yeah.
If it was a 6.9 or 7.3 International, non-turboed engine, hell yeah, I had one. Done it all the time because it was made to do that. It was made to abuse. These new engines with all the emissions, can't do it. This is not cost effective.
All right, moving along here if
All
I
right,
want
so
to.
ambulances, we got the third ambulance is down at Wheatley's right now. The first two are back. The first one cost me about $17,000. The second one, I should be right around 12, getting it back road ready, brakes, drive line issues. That did not include transmission, transfer case, front and rear end differentials. Simply for the fact that we do that, we're gonna be replacing transmissions with that many miles and they've never been serviced. We had to buy 2 sets of tires. We'd used somebody here in town previously. I called for pricing, didn't get it. I looked at our last invoice. I made a call to Seymour Tire. We get the government plan through Goodyear, so no tax, government pricing, $865 for 6 new tires. 12 ply, 1 ton, rated Goodyear tires. We saved ourselves from our last invoice $1,200 just on that 1 set of tires.
Okay.
So that's what we're looking at there. So the third unit's down there now. We're getting it where it's going to be on the road. We've talked about doing a DOT inspection every quarter just to make sure the trucks are going. Supplies unorganized and overstocked. We have them coming in tomorrow. We will actually decrease our overhead by sending back supplies that we have too many of. Come to find out, the county paid $15,000 for a machine to dispense and quality control our supplies when it could have been for free.
Is that the ones in the bay out there?
Absolutely. Which sends us text messages, what gets dispensed, when it's ready to be refilled. So we are actually looking at getting another one, but it will be free. Plus, we're gonna get a bulk discount on our supplies that you guys have never paid for since 2005. So you're gonna get the bulk discount. We didn't get that before, and I don't know how much that is. Because to be quite honest with you, we got so much stuff in there right now, we could probably fill a 1-ton truck. So there's a bunch of money saved there. Staffing, limited, but we're still below par, but I have hired, like I said before, 11 persons, 5 medics, 3 advanced EMTs, and 3 EMTs. I still have about 10 applications out. They have been hired part-time on the status that their background check comes out okay, and they have a driver's license and all that.
Good.
So we can get the part of their orientation done in the classroom. Complaint-wise, we had 3 field complaints. I've talked to those family members. I have 1 to call back, and that will be finalized tomorrow. I do have some complaints from the hospital and the medical staff at the ER, and Crosdale and I are working together on that one. That's going to be a resolution between he and I and the person. I have talked to a couple of my staff members to step their games up, and we'll go from there to see how that works.
Well, it's word Dr. Crosdale called me, just let me know he was very pleased with you.
Right. We had a complaint this weekend, and it's rightfully so, and I'm not going to kind of get into it right here, but I can get a hold of you guys individually. Protocol wise, we are working to update those. Office wise, I have contacted Washington County. Nick and I sat down last week, had a discussion. We had a drawing a line in the sand and come to Gap and decided we're going to play nice and we're going to get along, and I back him, he's going to back me, and we're not going to have no problems.
Good. Glad to hear that.
KDH has been contacted. I'm setting up a meeting with them in November, and Jackson County, I'm working with their interim person right now. However, that decision will be made by Friday who gets that job. And I think we're gonna work pretty good together with that guy too. So with that said,
So you must know him.
yeah, pretty well. District 9, apparently Scott County EMS has not been a participating member of the District 9 Healthcare Coalition, which is funded by the state, and we are eligible for grants and stuff through that. We have not worked with them since 2005. I instituted that back yesterday. We have a meeting on Friday at Science Park for District 9, so we will be participating along with Scottsburg Fire Department in District 9 operations.
Good.
So that is good. We have got that done. I also got on the COVID ticker that we have. Scott County EMS was not on there. They are now. We have updated. They know how many trucks we have.
What's this now again?
The COVID, it's a statewide COVID alert for emergency services. Scottsburg's a member of that as well. We are now a member of that. So they know how many trucks, how many staff members, how many ventilators, and all that kind of stuff. We were not, it was set up, but they were not an active member in participation of updates and all that kind of stuff.
And that benefit?
So they track if we have anybody that's positive or negative,
Okay.
and then they know how many of our staff members are affected by COVID or not. Making sure that we get our our supplies from the health department, and make sure we're up to par with gowns, gloves, masks, and all that kind of stuff. So like Sunday, we did have a positive. He said he was negative. Come to find out, after we transported this guy to Floyd, he was positive. But our people, I was the initial call person. We had all our PPE on. When the crew transferred it down to Floyd, they had their stuff on. And I talked to Tyler's mom, Geraldine. So we're in the clear on that. We do not have a positive situation on that.
Okay.
Finance-wise, last week I met with the council, and they kind of looked at me like I had something grown out of my head. Tammy was there, and they were quite pleased and happy and excited and ecstatic, I think. So with that said, what I've done is negotiated a price on an ambulance. We have the money in the funds to pay for that said ambulance. It was coming out of our remount budget. I went to those guys, made sure we could get it, and I reappropriated an additional 10,000, correct? So that is in our budget, and we have the money to pay for that truck. Along with, Tammy and I have been working together with the FEMA and the CARES Act for reimbursement on that truck. So I initially laid out the money to recoup the money, so we can put it back into that account. That's not including, that's separate of the CARES Act money you guys have already appropriated for.
Good.
And I do have a plan B and a plan C and on this new class to have it, to keep going with it.
Good.
Raymond's on board with it, Crosdale's on board with it. I've got Jacob's replacement in, ready to go. I'm gonna be the clinical coordinator, so Schneck has agreed to let us have people come up there. They've also agreed to let us use their simulations lab, which is a multi-million-dollar grant that they got. They have a multi-million-dollar Sims lab, they're gonna let us use it. It just sits there. So for them to I made the outreach, they're willing to let us do it. So I say it's a win-win for both communities.
Yeah.
And both services, Jackson County Service as well as our service. I've reached out to them, letting them know that they can come down here for training as much as they want to. We'll send people up here to do training, and it's gonna be a good thing for both communities. And if we can work on the same page, we run the interstate just as well as they do, this is what we need to do.
Sounds good.
EMS CARES Act at the very bottom of the page. Auditor's Office, also with CARES FEMA Act and the redevelopment committee. We've asked for the following: 10 light pack 15s with all options, 6 stair chairs, 2 refurb ventilators, which we do have those. I paid for those out of our funds, out of our budget, and we had the money to do that. So now we can get that money reclaimed through the CARES Act. 2 response units, pickup trucks, 10 McGrath Innovation video scopes, 6 power cots and load systems. The cots and load systems will decrease our back injuries and also wheel bearings of the crew. It's going to make them safer. They'll lift 800 pounds without us having to touch a button.
That's good.
Money ahead, we're going to decrease back injuries probably 30 to 40%.
Good.
16 AEDs. The reason why I'm asking for 16 AEDs, Scottsburg, all the communities around us, all the townships would get in on that program. So now we have equipment that's interchangeable. They use the same pads that we use. We don't have to worry about switching out pads and anything else. That offer also reaches out to the sheriff's department and the city police if they wanted to do that. 16 Lucas devices. That puts me with Lucas devices.
What is a Lucas device?
That's the thing that does the CPR for you. So,
Pretty sweet.
yeah, so that allows us to have all new ones for response trucks plus the ambulances. City of Scottsburg with the fire department, I've been talking to Richie on that. All the township, like Austin, they were interested in being a part of that with the AED and that. Vina Township, John and Dwayne out there. I've talked to Johnson Township about doing that as well. I've also talked to both athletic departments at both high schools. We will give one of those to each one of them high schools, along with an AED, part of the community outreach program. 2 ambulances, what we're asking for, one's already, well, we're gonna allocate that tonight. The second, third, and I actually got bids on remounting what we've got. We're gonna save ourselves quite a bit of money, but we got 3 ambulances that we need to replace, and we can do that fairly cheap.
Good.
Those are gonna have UV scrubbers. We are using UV scrubbers now. It's a portable unit. So we're UV scrubbing the trucks, UV scrubbing the station every 3rd day. And if we need to do more, we will. We also have limited the access to the ambulance service. So no family members are allowed to come in while their people are there. They can call, they can meet outside, but they cannot come into the station. Simply for the fact that we have had a tremendous upturn in COVID patients. We're working with the hospital, we're working with the health department and Dr. Rogers, and I've told them we've started sealing our trucks, our PPEs on board, and we're, like I said, scrubbing the trucks, doing a regular decon, plus we're UV scrubbing the trucks as well. So we had to have that in place. One thing I did put down there, and I'm probably gonna use the money from the reallocation of the funds from labor, is to buy a Kubota UTV. It's gonna have a medical skid unit in the back. Went to Jacoby's. They priced me out a brand new one. $14,500, I think is what it was. By the time I had the snow plow, so I don't have to depend on county highway. Salt spreader, snow plow, winch on the front so we can use it for KT trail, extrications, all-terrain usages. We're going to use it for the football games. I reached out again to all the athletic departments of both high schools so we can use it for cross-country meets, football games, the fair, anything that we have in Lexington, Scottsburg, Fort Fisk, whatever. That unit's going to be available for that. Plus, we can use it for rescue out here on the KT trail and wherever we might have 100 down in the woods and stuff. So, along with DNR, that's going to be something we're going to add to the county arsenal for emergency response. And Tammy's got all the
So you won't use
paperwork.
mine anymore?
No, sorry.
Yeah.
The Kubota is cheap. It's $15,000. The skid unit going in the back. I think I priced it from the place in Vermont. It was $2,500. The other option was $65,000. So for $20,000, $25,000, we're getting a pretty decent piece of equipment. It's diesel. It's four-wheel drive. It's geared for winch on the front and on the back. It's going to have a cab and a windshield on it, so it's going to be safe for us to use. The skid unit just has 4 bolts to hold it in. We can take it out, put the plow on it, put the snow spreader on it, or the salt spreader on it. We can use it for multiple things. That's the whole purpose of that.
All right.
So that's a lot to digest, I know. And I was talking kind of fast, but that's the gist of it.
I appreciate this. I appreciate that.
So I am working in conjunction with Tammy and Teresa. I've been down to Jill's place, got them guys breakfast for helping me out on that one truck. And I do appreciate their help with that, and Tammy's and Teresa's help. We meet weekly for a couple hours every time, and she sees my phone ring, it's me, and she's like, oh my God, it's Shannon again. So with that said, I do appreciate the local planning commission working with us and getting all this stuff going, because that's going to be a vital asset that we can utilize with that amendment for future expansions.
Well, again, I'm gonna back up to what Mike said earlier right here, and you know, we don't wanna just be good, we wanna be great, and I think we're headed in that right direction, and you know,
already did a good job,
there's
so.
always
Right.
hills and valleys, and but I feel very comfortable right now, and I think we're heading in the right direction.
I'm actually responding on calls 24 hours. I'm actually manning a truck as well, so you're getting your money's worth.
We appreciate
Actually, I
it.
saw you today,
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate that.
And I was out Sunday night, I was out on Sunday night, and I worked Sunday day shift, worked come out Sunday night. So I'm actually doing stuff throughout the week.
I was lucky that wasn't a fatality today.
Right. And you seen where I was parked, because
I don't know,
we had some issues with traffic coming up that hill, and,
but that could have easily been a fatality right there.
right, so sheriff's department got on scene, took care of business, but we still,
All right,
supportive measures. It
yeah.
was not a safe situation, so we took care of it.
Out there, it's not, I mean, any of those hills out there is
Right.
terrible.
What are you
People,
talking about?
56 West.
Marvin Moon's place,
Yeah.
between there and the Finley Firehouse. We had a truck overturned, so. But guys, anytime, I've texted you guys, let you know situations.
Appreciate
That
it.
one truck was only online for about 15 minutes, we took it over and got a tire fixed, so it wasn't online very long. So just let you guys know.
The information makes a big difference.
Helps a
Absolutely.
lot.
Well, I appreciate what you've done. I mean, as far as the morale, I mean, I haven't.
I know you didn't vote for me, I wasn't doing a good enough job.
And I'm sure you'll never let me forget that.
I will not. Just like, I do need one thing from you guys though. I've reached out to Tyler, via text message and phone calls. I've went through some backwood channels. I have got to have him at the station. There's some unresolved issues that he has to take care of, and he is the only one that can do that to free me up to allow things to happen. So I went face to face, I went through text messaging, I went through emails, I went through voice recordings, I've went through back doors, and now I'm going to you guys. Because it holds up this paramedic program as well.
Is this something we need to be talking about in public meeting?
So it's administrative.
This is an administrative deal, so I wanna let you know, I need to get with you guys about the other issue as well. So whenever we can get down to executive session, I need to involve some other people.
Okay.
Is that fair enough?
Soon?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Real
Yeah.
soon?
Sooner the better.
okay.
Maybe you should get us one at a time or something?
Yeah, whatever, yeah.
So I'll sit back here and we'll do it real quick.
All right, next up is the consideration of the September 2020 monthly claims, regular claims, monthly claims. If you had a chance to look at them.
I make a motion.
Motion made, do I hear a second? I'll make it unanimous. We got red tags here, I guess we're signing on them. Is that right?
Yes, I believe that's what it is.
I just see it one place, I think.
I'd say I appreciate Mike's work on the corner.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of time in that.
I will say that Kelly had a lot of legwork done, but then it kinda just fell apart.
Tammy, I'm not seeing.
You're not seeing.
Oh,
We've
that's a
got,
check.
got a lot of
This is your,
Is that my paper?
this is
Those are the
monthly
monthly claims.
claims. Where's
Oh, I
that?
bet she's
There's no sign?
given you,
Wrong thing, I think.
I bet she has. She's giving you the check register. You guys approved them, we'll take care of that. I'll find
Okay.
that after the
All right.
meeting. Okay.
Alright, so them to approve. And then we have the, four here is, redevelopment. One is, for Baker Tilly's for $77.95, one Southern is $20,000, and South Central Indiana EDC is $34.70. And,
Those were approved by redevelopment commission for payment, and I believe you all are aware of all those entities and what they
Yeah.
need being paid for.
yeah,
And the one Southern and the Central, or the dues for the 34.70 and the one Southern is being paid out of redevelopment commission in the old EDC contract line.
here a motion to approve these three claims.
Motion?
Second, unanimous. All right, and, the payroll ratification, for September 25th.
make a motion.
Second, unanimous.
Minutes.
Minutes, here a motion. Mike makes motion, John second. I will make it unanimous. And, the holiday schedule adoption, everybody had a chance to look at that and what you,
It's basically the same as the state.
If you got on here about the, never mind, it doesn't involve.
You can look at the state list attached. We're pretty much the same as the state. They name like the day before Thanksgiving something else. I mean, we just call it what it is. They take Washington's birthday or something. I mean, but we have the same amount of holidays as the state. I believe if you count them, both, I think are 13.
Yeah, that sounds right.
We,
On here, they got Christmas Day, you use like
yeah.
that Thursday and Friday.
We normally have 14, but there's no election next year.
Right.
okay.
Maybe we'll all get back to normal again.
Yeah, I don't know what normal is
I
anymore.
don't know.
I'm not for
I
sure
don't
what
know.
it is anymore.
Maybe I'll quit, have a big hug when this all.
So that's the same as it was.
That's what the draft was. I didn't change anything from when I gave it to you last meeting to look at.
Here a motion?
Second.
Mike, John seconds, I'll make it unanimous. You need to
Just pass it
sign.
around and sign one for me and then I can make copies.
All right. Mike, you have anything that you want to bring up?
No, pretty much.
I always say no, but then everybody gets talking, something comes to my mind, so. I'll
Got
just-
talked out tonight.
Okay. What about you, John?
No, I haven't.
Hell, it's about bedtime.
I've got one thing, and I've been questioned and asked about it, and I'm gonna bring it up one more time. I do want to, bring up, about these private roads, private drives, lanes, whatever you wanna call them. If they are a private entity, we cannot go on them. I had Jill to pull that, I think it was, and that's what this is here. I think that we, you know, I've always said we cannot do for one that we cannot do for everybody. We've got like 123 of them in this county that's considered private drives. And so I think is the number, it's over 100, I know. And to be able to take them over, we cannot do that. And people need to understand that your property tax does not pay for roads. Not one penny of it goes to repair roads. Everything is excise, gas tax that takes care of roads. So at that point, I just want to make sure everybody understands that and
Well, I can tell
knows
you,
the reason.
when I first got in this job, that was one of my goals too.
Yeah.
Fix all that stuff up, but, none of it was connected, but I was getting calls from all over the county, can you fix that? Same issue.
Yeah.
No.
It's-
I can't.
And I'd love to be able to, I'd love to be able to do something, but and if you can't do it for all, you can't do it.
I guess I have a question about that.
Uh-huh.
If, in a roundabout, how to get around that. If a group of people that live down that lane or that road or whatever, would be willing to add that cost to their taxes or whatever,
We could.
would we go in and either, I'm not saying pave it, but, you know, not centers, but, these, what the hell, millings down or whatever? I mean, would we be able to do that if we come up with, of course, then Jill's gonna say, we're a contractor out doing work and there's somebody gonna pay us.
I think we run that
talked to her
to,
about that.
we talked to, that's been talked about before with,
It's been done before.
and with Mr. Houston. And if everybody that lives on any of them was in agreement to do that, but it would have to be at least, or the other people's gonna say, we'll pay their part. But whatever the cost is my understanding is we can do that legally, if everybody's in agreement and they would have to sign off with some kind of contract that says that, you know what, they would pay that back over maybe a 10-year period.
And if they
on
would
prop-
sell the property, the new
That would
owner
have-
would have to.
it would
assume
be
that
tied to the
obligation.
property,
I
yeah.
understand that, but some of the places that we're talking about, one in particular, and I won't mention it, but, a lot of them are rental homes, and the landlord has no desire to do anything.
And that's where the problem
But
arises.
there's several homeowners in there that would,
Yeah.
so.
If, and again, if it was,
So where I come with this, and this is the problem I have with it, and I wish there was some way we could go to the person that built the subdivision and go, you need to fix the road. Because his $100-some-thousand ambulance is gonna go down that road.
Sure.
And blow a tire or tear a transmission out. A fire truck's gonna go down that road and tear something up. Police car's gonna go down there, the sheriff's department's gonna go down there and tear something up on their car.
My, suggestion would be, and I don't know if we do this or not, but treat it just like we would somebody as a health issue. Like we let people's grass grow, we warn them, if they don't mow it, we mow it. And for that same reason, because police, fire, ambulance, school buses, post office may not wanna go down that road.
Yeah.
That maybe, and I have talked to Joe about this, maybe we could just go in, we don't have to do anything to it outside of make it passable.
That's what I'm saying.
And we
I'm not
could go
saying
in
make it
and
pristine.
grade it, maybe throw some rock down, and whoever lives there is going on their tax bill. And it may be 10 people, it may be one person.
And it may be a renter that owns 10 places in there.
Well, it actually would be probably the owner of the rental
The
property.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I think at that point, it would just go on their taxes. Now, whether we can do that legally or
I don't
not,
know, that's an idea.
I would
Yeah.
suggest that we do this, and again, I wanna help anybody we can help. Only thing is whatever
do
we
it.
do, you set a
Yeah.
precedent, you
Yeah.
gotta do it for all, or you can't do it. If you do it for one, you can't. do
Oh,
it.
I had a lady
And,
reach out to me that said 20-some years ago, they were paving her road out in front of her lane back to her place, and just, they paved her lane.
Mhm.
And I'm like, they did what? She goes, yeah, and it's kinda breaking up, you think you could patch it, cause we were paving the road again? I'm like, no.
Ain't gonna happen, no. But, again, just wanted to bring that up, and if that's something, you know, again, if it is something like John just said, that you can treat it like that, I'm okay with that.
I think
But
we
I
should
think
just look at it.
we need to make sure we've got, legal counsel on this before we
and I
go on
agree
there and
with
do
that.
anything.
But and you're right, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking most, like say, police, fire, ambulance, all these people, post office. And one of them roads, I know, you could drop in there
Oh,
and have to get a ladder to get out on a
Yeah,
couple.
yeah.
I know one, but that's what I said,
Yeah.
I mean.
But
to
they have, the homeowner, or the property owner, I think, has an obligation.
But they
And
don't.
then it might be up to us to enforce that obligation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I don't even know about I know that some of the older, subdivisions, it was, and I don't know how it gets lost in the shuffle, but they had actually homeowner associations dues that was supposed to, be paid towards this every year, and
After a while.
after a while, it gets lost in the shuffle.
And the guy
and,
up there, yeah,
yeah.
that's the same thing, makes, but they won't pay it. I said,
So with that being said, I don't.
you'd have to sue each other, is what they gotta do.
All right,
You're right, Bob.
I'll entertain a motion.
I got it.
Second,
Okay.
let's get out of here, what do you say?
Oh, I'm-
Guys, we got to talk about these 3.5 hour meetings.
We gonna wait around a few minutes, or?
I'm gonna turn this off.
We'd have to have a schedule.